stuff last week, so therefore I'm quitting and Tavis can run the game from now on. Over to you, sir. No, in all seriousness. In all seriousness, yes. So last week you ended up in the town of Sundown and didn't ask any times about the poster, and I didn't mention anyone asking coming up to you asking about if you were going to take part in the showdown at Sundown. We won't worry about that. But at the very end of the session, you found out what the showboat was, I believe.
We did. Showboat is a person.
I didn't get a message about it. Apparently, that she gets her name because of the the really gaudy, voluminous costumes she wears and jewelry and stuff.
So
There you go.
who's got
Maybe we should stick around after all.
who's got the torn letter?
I don't know who took it.
I think I had half of it, unless the other half was given to me afterwards.
That was what it said. Gambling is key. He took my toy. One white riot, one ranger.
Well, we'll assume that I've got it because I snatched it from them while they were mucking around with it, and I will walk back into Gaston's. And is she still behind the bar, or is she in the room?
Hey.
When you arrive back at the hotel, it's at the tail end of Showboat's performance. She's on stage, belting out a huge song to a rush of applause. Her beautiful dark skin being caught by the lamps upon the stage. The crowd stays a little rowdy after the lights come up. A few audience members try to talk her up, try to talk to her as she comes off the stage. There's a load of obviously she's surrounded by fans looking for an autograph, a kiss on the cheek, or boldly asking for a little more.
I will let her deal with her fans, but once that's died down, I would like to see where she goes.
She just seems to be standing around. Obviously, well, no, I mean okay. After 10 minutes, the fans are still around her, and she's still enjoying the atmosphere of it. You get the impression she'll let it go as long as she can get away with it.
Okay, in which case I will go and join the fans. And well, you could have told me you were a performer yourself when I was speaking about it last night.
I don't like the. I don't. Why should I want to promote competition? She says with a smirk upon her face.
Well, you must be a pretty poor singer if you think a magician would be competition for your act.
She wasn't, but yes, I get the point. She smiles back, going, "Touche, sir, touche."
Well, the feller that actually does the booking, would you know where he'd be?
Yesterday you were asking for the owner. Today you're asking for the person that does the booking. Well, obviously.
Well, I asked for the owner, and you said he wasn't around. And then I asked if whoever manages the performances would be around, and you said that was the owner and he wasn't around.
Well, yes, I was just trying to get rid of you, wasn't I? No, no. Oh, excuse me a second. Yes. Okay. And what's the name of your daughter that you absolutely want this signed photograph of me from? Oh, sorry, you were saying.
Perhaps we could take this conversation to somewhere where it won't be interrupted or overheard.
She she gives you a strange look for a second, and then smiles. She says, "Well," she looks around and sees one of the two girls standing at the balcony overhead, and hang on. Did I not turn languages on? Yeah. Tools. I thought we set up languages last week. We did. Oh, the button's got okay. So this doesn't seem to let me choose language. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm such an idiot. I forgot. We combat trackers on the left, we chat windows on the right. She looks up at the two ladies standing on the balcony who seem to be watching her.
Why did
And
I
she
get
says
strength?
something to them in French. None of you understand.
How very continental.
And she basically takes you up to her room.
Well, I wasn't exactly expecting this. I was thinking possibly a meeting room somewhere, but it's all right. I'll be a gentleman.
Oh.
Now, my friends and I came across a fella on the road. Um, with his dying words, he said your name, well, your stage name, and gave us this. And then I will hand her the note.
Well, she takes the note and
That's what it should be. Spirit, not
Now,
fucking.
on the grounds that the fellers that were coming after him seemed to be working with the town marshal, I thought you wouldn't want this being handed to you anywhere where anybody else might see.
it's a very interesting line there. I'm very confused by that.
I assume that's Jim.
Yeah, no, I'm just intrigued. Ah, oh no, that makes perfect sense. If anybody, if you've actually if you read the if that makes sense, having looked at something in the player's section introduction, that's fine. But given that this adventure is not supposedly linked to that, I don't know why they put it in. But that's absolutely fine.
I don't get it.
She reads the letter, looks a bit concerned by it. Says, "At least you had the presence of mind to. At least you had the presence of mind to not flash this downstairs where anyone could be watching." And then she does something with her hands.
No, I said I was going to be a gentleman.
But she didn't promise to be a lady.
And if you
She
don't
make
mind, if
she
you don't
makes
mind,
a
madam,
fist. She makes a fist with one hand, holding the other flat in front of it to bisect the middle. It looks like a half-setting sun. You recognise.
which I recognise, do I?
Indeed. For if you've read your player's introduction, which I did say you didn't necessarily need to yet,
Which is why I've not done it, because there's like Christmas to prepare for.
Exactly.
That's a hand symbol of the Twilight Legion, whatever.
It is, which you are all members of. If you remember, this was you were heading to Carlson for your first assignment.
We were, yeah.
So we know that
Yes,
symbol, do we?
You do know the symbol. She makes the sign of the Twilight Legion. Rates
Oh,
to
right.
see if you acknowledge it in the whatever well, waits to see if you acknowledge it, which would be, because you again, as I say, I wouldn't worry about the fact you read it because I hadn't picked up on this bloody one line in there. You would respond with Lux in Tenebris, assuming my Latin pronunciation is correct.
Ah, looks into neighbours.
Yes, there you go. Night in darkness.
Yeah.
Yes. Not doing Latin at school. It was a dead language, so I didn't feel the need to speak it. It killed off all the Romans. I didn't fancy killing me. Okay, she said. Adele says Ranger Carson was a friend, a good man. This town is run by a man named Silas Wanamaker, who seemed to be a down on his luck gambler until something changed a few months back. Now he owns a piece of most every business in town. Hell, he even owns this entire bar. Enemies of his disappear and are never found. Me and Carson were working the case from different angles. Me undercover and him stirring things up. He even went to Wanamaker's house on the hill and played some cards with him, trying to rattle him and stuff. I don't know what happened, but it seems he lost his ghost gun. It's a handy Colt Navy. He said he took off, well, something unearthly. He must have discovered more, though, because he took off for Ranger HQ the next morning. Left word with the girls he'd be back in a few days with some help or information, but I guess it ain't coming. You being here might tip Silas off that we're working together, and I can't have that. Looks like you're going to have to take Carson's spot. The folks around town
That's
are no better
brave.
or worse than anywhere else, but I've got an itch I get sometimes. Something's bad's about to happen. Something from the other side, if you know what I mean. While I remember, I need to give Mr. John Watt a Benny for Recognising the setting sun logo.
Right, well, I'm not entirely sure me being here is going to be that problematic for you. After all, I'm just a fellow performer that's looking for an in to get up on that stage there. You know, get a little bit of paid work on that. So that one should be easy enough to explain away.
At which point she holds up her hand as you to sort of pause you as you're talking, and she lets out a very strange cluck like a chicken.
Okay, so if that isn't a secret sign, my name is not the Amazing Adolfo, which actually it isn't, that's just my stage name. But exactly who are you signaling with by clucking like a chicken?
It's a code. If I don't give it out before 5 minutes have passed, the girls outside there, or let's just say they have many talents.
I'm sure they do. I've met many girls like that in my time. So, what you're saying is that you want me and mine to stay around and help you with dealing with this Silas Wanamaker fella.
Well, indeed. You see, at first I thought the town marshal, Buck Norman, was just killing Wanamaker's enemies. He's built for it, of course. He's mean and cruel, but sometimes Norman was far away from when someone was last seen. I think Silas is spiriting people away, but I can't figure out how. The former owner of this place was Tawny McGee, for example. She just up and disappeared one night. The next day, Silas had the deed with her signature. He said she had to take care of a dying
One sound
relative
brave
back
and quick
east.
draw.
So she gave him the hotel and left that night without so much as a suitcase. No one could disprove it, of course, though I've got the agency looking for her or any family.
Right, I see. Well, the town marshal was certainly working with the bunch of bandits that hunted down your ranger friend. So more than one person can wield a knife or fire a gun. If you'll take my meaning there.
Indeed, as I say, it's all very strange. Right, so I think what we'll have to do is, obviously, I assume you were heading out this morning. We were watching you, but obviously, what I can arrange is I can use some of the expenses I have here to put you all up in the Sunset Arms Hotel across the street. Obviously, we'll have to keep quiet who's actually paying for it, but I think that gives you a chance. Also, it would be helpful if any of your acquaintances are any good with um, their six shooters, because there is that competition coming up, which again gives you another reason to be hanging around town when you thought at first of course you were planning on leaving.
Well, that would certainly help. But as it's me that came in and had the conversation, perhaps you could pull a few strings and put myself and Miss D on stage this evening as well. Uh, you know, I did speak with the marshal and told him that we were leaving town, but for me to come and talk to you and then suddenly stay because my gunfighting friends are getting involved in something would perhaps, well, I wouldn't say he seemed to be the brightest pin in, but whoever he's working for might have a thing or two to think about. So if you could arrange to put myself and Miss D on stage this evening as well, that would go a long way to covering us.
Well, of course, I'm funny, and funny you should say that. I think you'll find that there's a there you've got billing tonight. Top billing. We'll get the word out now.
Well, that's mighty fine then. I shall go and tell my compatriots that we shall be staying as I've managed to arrange for a performance for myself and that I'll be paying for the hotel for the evening.
Wonderful stuff. Well, yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I have to say I admire your high levels of discretion. I would have feared the consequences if you'd been flashing that piece of paper downstairs
Well,
in front of
there,
everyone.
I'm. Let's put it this way: it's always good to be discreet when one can, because, well, who knows what skeletons might be lurking in anybody's closets, eh?
Well, indeed. Can I have notice checks from everybody, please? Obviously, the amazing Adolfo being upstairs and outside inside is going to have a slight penalty, but it doesn't matter as long as other people notice. Well, Will Money, Yuan, and John Watt have no problems at all. Basically, you can hear as you're hanging around outside, wondering what Rodolfo is getting up to inside as you're sort of getting ready to leave and everything. You can hear you can hear a strange sound. Obviously, John Watt obviously would definitely recognise it, but he'd be very confused. At first, he's a bit confused given the lack of rail anywhere near this town. But the rest of you could definitely hear the distinct sound of some sort of steam engine device, and the sound's getting louder.
Is there a train track?
Is there a train track
There is no
nearby?
train. There is no train track nearby.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it's one of those automobiles.
Indeed.
Definitely a Hellstrom Industry something, yes.
Yes, a huffing steam wagon rolls into town, literally puffs and chuffs its way down the main street towards you, because of course you're slap bang in the middle of the town. It's driven by a young Asian man sitting atop plush seats and steering it with a system of levers and pulleys. And being American, there, I'd have said levers, but the wagon makes all sorts of whistles and halts as it pulls up in front of Gaston's. As you can imagine, it's drawing a curious crowd as it goes.
And Mercy frowns because it's spooking the hell out of the horses.
Indeed. The Asian chap powers down the steam engine and opens up a cupboard on the left-hand side of his buckboard, propping up the flap so it reads, Dr. Gal's New Science, Healing and Dentistry.
Oh,
Right,
healing and dentistry. Brilliant.
If you'll excuse me, Miss Jackson, I think I'd better go and talk to my compatriots, and I will talk with you later this afternoon. Have a good day now.
As you head down the stairs and walking as you head out of Showboat's room and head back to the balcony to come down the stairs, the rest of the posse down outside Gaston's hear the loud bang and crash as the door to the marshal's office crashes open, and appearing to be in a very foul mood and appearing to rubbing his head, probably having been woken up in the worst possible way from a hangover. You see Marshal Buck Norman staring out and looking around. Norman basically wanders over to look over the gal's wares. Well, the doctor's already beginning to talk up to the crowd about his amazing ailments, and he's already examining the teeth of one poor individual, judging by the noises coming from him. And he's obviously doing his spiel about his miracle cure oil. Meanwhile, as he's doing that, Norman takes the lid off the bottle and takes a swig. Gal appears to be watching the rough, tough-looking lawman apprehensively. At this point, Adelpho, you walk out through Gaston's.
Okay. How close am I to the wagon and the sheriff that's taken a swig of this thing?
He's set up himself sort of in the middle of the street opposite Gaston's.
I will call over to the marshal. I'd be careful with that, Marshal. The ones on display tend to be just piss and ink. The real stuff's kept in the cupboard so nobody can steal it.
Indeed, and very good answer, in fact. But Buck, it doesn't appear either doesn't hear or chooses not to. He just goes, I got one mean hangover, and this snake oil ain't doing a damn thing for it. You're nothing but a shyster. Several of Norman's deputies appear out of the crowd and start moving towards their boss. Norman starts sniffing and tasting the other bottles.
That's probably still more piss and ink, I'll say as I wander over.
This time he seems to look at you, and he seems to grunt and go, snake oil with honeysuckle, nothing but tonic water. He pronounces
Piss and ink.
as he starts smashing each bottle he tastes. "You ain't nothing but a fake," he says, pointing at Gal. "Get 'em, boys!"
Whew, rude.
Indeed. I've even got a lovely picture. Here you go.
That's quite a hook.
Mm.
Okay, it
As he
looks like the guy
obviously-
at the back has crushed a cartwheel in his hand and that he's a giant.
Indeed. But anyway.
I think what you're seeing is one of the gears from the steam engine
Yeah.
and a horseshoe and a couple of other metal parts that he's getting ready to sling at somebody.
That makes a
He's
little
a,
bit more sense.
he's a metal
Metal
mage,
mage.
isn't he? He's a metal mage.
So he's not a cart crushing giant. Okay, fair enough.
Righty. I think. Oh, if I'd really been paying attention and hadn't been basically tidying up the house after yesterday. I could have had. Oh, we could have had a nice map, but we'll just do it theatre of the mind style.
You didn't make a map.
Oh, spent the whole day.
Now,
tidying
none
up
of the
and
rest
finding
of us
family
know
history.
anything about the conversation that Patty here has had with the Chiquita upstairs, right?
That
We
is
know he went
correct.
to talk to her.
That is completely correct. None of you know that. I want Buck Norman to go on a better card.
And Mercy's kind of been standoffish. She didn't stay at the same quarters they did. You know, she obviously rode in with them, but she's more distant than. Okay. Just want to see
Yeah.
where we
This
are.
Buck Norman guy is just some geezer selling junk out of a wagon, yeah?
No, Buck
Buck
Norman's
Norman's-
the marshal.
Buck
Dr.
Norman's the
Gao.
marshal. Dr. Gal, who he's just knocked out.
The marshals are baddie because he's implicated in the killing of the wagon we found.
Ah, okay. I wonder
Yeah.
why he was looking like a bad guy. I'm thinking he was just got knocked out. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Funny enough, actually, I've managed to perfectly, with the use of 2 bennies to get the marshal at the top of the deck, and then with some lucky dice rolling, I've managed to perfectly implement the photograph, which is the marshal knocking out Gal, because that's exactly what's just happened. Dr. Lindsay Gal has been knocked out with a vicious uppercut from the marshal. Juan, what do you do? If anything.
I think Juan is going to go on hold for now.
Okie doke.
Want.
Sorry. William Mercy goes next. Sorry, I put you on hold, and I think you put yourself on hold. So, of course, for some reason, it did it. Oh, I don't know.
But I was with him last night. I picked up on the sense that this marshal is involved in some pretty shady stuff, including killing the guy that we found, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to say you know a bad one when you see him.
Yeah. Well, I know bad ones when I see them, but I ain't gonna reveal why. So I'm just gonna kind of step over into the middle of the fight, and I'm gonna look at the marshal and tell him in my absolutely sweetest voice, "No, Marshal, I'm sure there's better means to solve this than with fist and guns. I understand you're having a contest here today, and we kind of want to keep everybody in the right frame of mind to enjoy that, wouldn't we?"
I think the contest is a couple of days, but yes, I get the point. Whereas he just stands. Whereas the marshal just looks. The marshal, obviously free talking. I like that. The marshal just looks at you. Obviously, having just knocked Gao out, he spins and looking at you.
That's good enough.
I'm going to
Why
this
don't
one.
we? Why don't you step over here to Gaston's with me? Where I come from, it's called the hair of the dog. Have a drink. That'll do wonders for a hangover.
That would have been rather amusing and interesting. I'm quite glad he made his saving. Sorry, he resisted that with his spirit. He basically looks at you for a second, and then basically as he stares you down. You can see his hands already moving down round his body. He's come down from the uppercut, and his hands moving towards his gun belt and it looks like he's preparing to hover over the gun. Mr. William Money. I have to say I'm very confused.
Bart Pillman's a bad guy, isn't he?
Well, yeah. I have to say I'm very confused that you're playing the young version of Clint Eastwood's Carriers Williams Money 4 years after Unforgiven happens.
So I take it that's a no on the
No,
drink.
there's no lift.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
Sorry, dude.
Wibbly wobbly, timely one. Yeah, no, I just found that very amusing.
Well, once he's going to age rapidly once we get a few more advances under our belts. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, obviously, nitpicking aside, yeah, this is 1884. Unforgiven, set in 1880.
Exactly, rapid aging caused by alcohol
Well, no, obviously something happened that caused you to de-age. That's what happened. It's the Weird West, after all.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things in the Weird West.
Oh, that was weird. I just rolled to attack and it just come up with an error. What have you done, Kevin?
I haven't done anything. I didn't even see your dice roll.
What have you brought? Yeah, because it didn't roll us. Yeah, exactly.
You've not targeted anybody.
No, you've not targeted anybody.
I'm dropping it on the combat tracker, but yeah.
I'll target him for you. Shall I try that? Are you going to shoot the marshal in the street in front of everybody?
Well, I mean, he's just why? What else would I do in the street?
You want to get us all hung, I take it.
I'm gonna go on hold.
No. Please,
no,
please.
I'm gonna go on hold.
For the record, they actually say it's actually story-wise, it's better if you do kill the marshal.
Oh, well, I'm still on hold. I can see what's going on and then decide what to do. Maybe I'll
Mr.
kill.
What, sir? Mr. John.
That's why he was glad I failed on Beguile. That should have been.
I was hoping Bundy would shoot him, if I'm honest.
So anyway, all these people here that are all deputies. If I was you, I wouldn't stand there because you've just knocked out the one guy that understands the steam engine, which is now, if you look at the gauge behind you, it's over pressurizing and the tank's going to explode. I'll walk over here. I would suggest you'd all do the same because you're all about to die. Trust me, honest.
No. I'm afraid they don't believe you. Okay, so are you trying to convince Deputy 2, or Deputy 3?
One of the deputies that the steam engine's about to explode.
They got rid of the custom die option. Oh, there it is. Deputy 1. Deputy 1 will be, you got a 5. I'm going to say that's against his smarts. You got the raise. So do you want him distracted, vulnerable, as well as shaken?
There's no creative combat table. Ooh, right, okay, because it's not Pathfinder.
It's Deadlands.
It's Deadlands.
You can use creative combat because it's still swayed, but it's not. There isn't a specific
No,
one in the Deadlands.
It's not. It's not a setting rule, unless it's switched on. So optional. Yeah, so we're going to leave him distracted, obviously, because he's going next.
Excuse me.
The table's definitely there.
Oh, I know the table's there, but
but it's optional.
It's optional. It's optional. I mean, it's much easier just to say. I from a project. You know what I mean? It
It's
makes
a
Pathfinder
it's a setting rule in Suede, and it's a core rule in
in
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, yeah.
And I like I wanted to make it feel like a different game by not having it, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
That absolutely does.
This
Mr.
theme
Amazing
is definitely
Adolfo.
broken.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's not my theme, is it? I didn't create it.
Adolfo will step
I'm
over
not blaming you.
towards the
I know.
marshal and tap the butt of his pistol with his cane.
Mhm.
Now, Marshal, what Mr. Watch says there is entirely correct, and it seems that you made your point with this poor fella here on the ground. I think he won't be trying to sell any snake oil around here anytime soon, but to be perfectly honest, you don't want one of these infernal engines running haywire through the middle of your town, especially not just before your showdown competition that you're going to be having. Maybe we should, give him a pat round the face, get him awake, and make sure that it doesn't do any serious damage to the place. What do you say?
Have I not turned on fast tests?
I didn't target
Wait.
him with that because I wasn't trying to test him. I was trying to increase his.
I see. I misunderstood. Are you happy with 4?
Well, that's a success because it's not usually opposed those. But
No,
I will.
but don't forget, all it does is moves him down 1 on the track, doesn't it? As it were.
Yeah, well, the best you can ever get is 2. But I think 1 for now is fine. I can always try to improve it again next round, and then that'll be as far as it could go anyway.
So he's unfriendly at the moment. It's not hostile. All right. His deputy, however, sort of recovers a bit and basically takes a swing at John Watt, going, "Get away! Go! Stop talking! Stop! Don't talk like that! Don't talk like that!" But he's obviously a bit flustered, and he swings wildly and misses. Meanwhile, deputy number 2 sees you approaching the marshal and sort of tapping at the gun. It totally misreads the incomplete situation. Probably
And then I will. As I read what he's doing, I will hold my hand up and say, "Now, deputy. There's no need for any violence here, now, is there?"
I hate you. That's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. It just means Sophia Dia doesn't get to do anything. So,
It's all right.
okay,
I wasn't going to anyway. I was just sitting on a bar, swinging my legs, watching everybody else.
that's absolutely fine. No, it's a sensible use of a card, and I should be right.
Now,
There we are.
why
Stop,
don't we?
stop pouting, Doswald.
That's
Well
okay.
said.
I'm not pouting. It's absolutely fine. I just want to never get a chance to beat up the players. It's my only chance when you're low level. It's not fair.
Now, why don't we all just calm down? As I said, Marshal, you've absolutely made your point with this feller. He won't be selling any snake oil in this town anymore. Now, perhaps we should bring him round so that this infernal machine here isn't going to cause any damage, and you could be the hero for letting that happen. And I'm deliberately raising my voice so that all the onlookers can see, and he'll be aware of that as well. That if anything goes wrong here now, it's the marshal's fault if he doesn't let this guy deal with his infernal machine. But on the other hand, I'm talking up the marshal to be the guy that made sure it didn't happen, at least in his eyes.
Absolutely fine. Obviously, the Norman's obviously a bit slow, but while the other couple of marshals obviously catch the gist of what you're implying, and they lead the marshal away. Go, come on, marshal, we've made your point. And they lead him back to one of the marshals comes out of Gaston's with a fresh bottle of fire water, and they lead the marshal back to the office.
And I will look around at the rest of my companions and say, now, there's a very good reason we need to stay in town for a little while. But making sure there's still a town to stay in would probably be a good idea. Mr. Watt, if you don't know how to stop that infernal machine from exploding, If anybody knows how to bring this fella round, now would be a good time to do it.
I don't think it's actually going to explode. It's I just
I'll
pointed at the gauge. I figured out he would have not a clue what he was looking at.
I'll pick up a bottle or a cup or something like that and fill it in the horse trough and throw it over his face. See if that works.
Well, it probably will. So, when you bring him back to, although he's a little sodden, Dr. Gow is extremely grateful for assistance from you. And gives you each a bottle of his miraculous elixir for their injuries, and then heads out of town. He sets up his wagon at a copse of trees about a mile out of town to recover from the unsettling.
Oh, I don't
Before
need
he
to do
goes
it.
off, I am going to uncork it, sniff it, and check it isn't just piss and ink.
Gone back. Okay, let's remove all
Do you know
the plus
what?
ones.
It doesn't tell me what it does, so that could be interesting.
Okay.
It literally says, his new friends a bottle of his miraculous elixir for their injuries.
Right.
Well-
Okay.
If you want to
I
all
wa-
write down a bottle of miraculous elixir, we'll decide what happens when the time comes.
Mm.
I guess that's going to be a card draw.
I think it might have to be, yes.
My best
Uh,
guess is it would almost have to be a healing potion, but that's just me.
I can't spell miraculous. I'll just spell it badly.
Well, folks, it would appear that a certain amount of light needs to be brought to the darkness in this town. There are folks that walk around in the sunset hours, if you'll take my meaning.
No, I don't take your meaning. Get to the
No,
point.
so
Vampires?
Actually, in fact, I've come up with a nice easy answer.
Mm,
Let me just share that. You can all have one of those.
that makes
there are
life easier.
there are folks
yeah, I've got one.
there are folks from the Twilight Legion in town.
You got one of them.
Turns out that territorial ranger fellow was one of them. And well, people have been going missing. The person that runs the town is possibly quite suspect. He's got the marshal in his pocket, and the incumbent agent of the Legion has asked us to stay around and take a look into things. Now, for those of you that are somewhat inclined to your firearms, Mr. Money, Miss Mercy, there appears to be some kind of gunfighting competition in the next few days that perhaps you'd like to take part in. I've also secured some performance rights for the stage of Gaston's for this evening for Miss D and myself to give us a reasonable reason for us to be staying in town. And, well, for a change, the hotel's been taken care of by me. Sorry, it's not quite up to your standards, Mr. Watt, but if you want to stay somewhere more expensive with the same kind of water that costs twice as much, you're welcome to it.
Um, it will take no offense, Patty, but I prefer to stay in the same place I stayed last night.
Well, you're absolutely welcome to. I've just got places at the sundown,
Well, it's
Sunset.
appreciated, but
the sunset.
well, it's much appreciated.
No, that's perfectly all right. I mean, it's not like I'm forcing anybody.
If you just give me the money.
Oh, I won't need to be doing that. It's all dealt with already. Thank you very much.
Haven't we already got rooms at Sunset Arms that what
Well, you
paid
checked
for?
out because you only stayed the night, didn't you?
Yeah.
Ah,
But subterfuge, they're going to think that I'm carrying on paying for the rooms. They're not going to know that the money's coming from somewhere else.
I get the
Well-
feeling that the money is because we're working, so it's not actually money, more as exchange of service.
Yes, very much like that, Miss D. You pick up these things very quickly, so you do.
Yeah, so it's just that's exactly what it is. But for all intensive purposes, if anybody asks, I'm paying for the room.
Well,
Oh,
you did want to speak with the fella that owns the mansion on the hill. Now, that would probably be the fella that's now got a finger in every single pie in town, and is the one that's quietly making people Well, officially they're leaving, but they all appear to be disappearing. So if you want
What?
to go and have a chat with them, just be very careful that you don't end up disappearing yourself.
Well,
Juan's going to scratch his head for just a second and go, hang on, you said that this town has got a problem with people walking around in Sunset and we're staying at the Sunset Inn?
Now, I understand that English is not your first language. In all honesty, a lot of people would say it's not my first language either, but that's beside the point. I was using well, I was trying to be at least a little bit circumspect. There are people here from the Twilight Legion. You know, twilight being a time around sunset.
Oh. Oh. Well, that's cool.
Right. So we're going to hang around for a few days. I'm sure we've got the time to do so. And perhaps Mr. Money and Miss Mercy might want to get involved in this gunslinging competition. And meanwhile, the rest of us can just enjoy the town. And, well, I think we should keep an eye on that marshal. And if we get a chance to have a chat with the gentleman that seems to own everything round here, um, we could do so just very carefully.
what? Hey, Watts, if you're going to be so casual tossing around coin, I'm staying just 2 buildings down. You could go cover my room for a couple of nights. I wouldn't object. It's probably a whole lot cheaper than you're laying out for one person for one night here at Sunset, whatever.
Yeah, I only did that to attract the attention of the necessary parties for business.
I'm pretty sure we'll attract the attention of Mr. Silas Wanamaker before too much longer.
Yeah, there is something to be said for what as John Watts' actions were doing and everything else. I suppose you could argue there is if you can make him come to you, it's better than you going to him. If that makes sense, it makes him think it's on his terms, doesn't it? I suppose. But,
I mean, if Mr. Money or Miss Mercy can make a good showing in this upcoming gunslinging competition, I mean, who would
Yeah,
the
when is
winner
this
of that?
gunsling competition? I'm up for that.
That is, of course, if you're
Uh,
actually good enough to
We
win
let her
it.
kill people.
Do you know, I'm not entirely sure what the competition involves, but I'm imagining that the actual killing of people would probably be frowned upon. I expect to be I expect it to be something along the lines of, you know, quick drawing, showing marksmanship, that sort of thing. You actually any good with them shooting irons of yours, or do you just carry them around for show?
I've walked off.
Right. I guess he carries them around for show then.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Miss D,
I might accidentally shoot him later.
Miss D, we need to prepare for a performance this evening. That being our reason for staying in town.
Sure thing. Which one do you have in mind? The knives? The box? The arrows?
I was thinking that we could do we could do the basic stage magic and the knife throwing this evening, and if we get a chance to do a performance again tomorrow, perhaps we could do the swords in the box.
All right. I'll go make sure my costume's set.
Righto, you do that.
I'm going to say it's probably hang on, tonight. You're going to do the show tonight, then tomorrow, so it's probably 2 days' time. The showdown at sundown.
Okay, so what, we're going to wait around for 2 days, are we?
If you want to take part in the competition, I mean, obviously you can ask people about how a competition works, and obviously they can tell you.
I mean, if it's 2 days away, there'll probably be other folks arriving either today or tomorrow in town, so you can size up the competition and everything.
Exactly.
I'm a guest on, so I can ask the people in there, ask the barkeep.
Okie dokie. Now, there was something you said earlier that I just want to clarify, and that is Carson being a territorial ranger isn't part of the Twilight Legion. He's a ranger, but
Mhm.
obviously they work with it. You will work with them, if that makes sense. Again, you may have situations where there may be times when your you're trying to get on with conflicts with what the territorial rangers are trying to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was working on the grounds that just because he's a territorial ranger doesn't mean that he can't be a member of the Twilight Legion.
Yes, I don't disagree. I'm just clarifying. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the best example you can give for that is your typical spy thing where the CIA and MI6 are allies, but sometimes, of course, they aren't. Even though they are, but the current mission means they aren't. It's that sort of level of fun and games.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, well, so obviously you're going to be on stage. What's everyone else up to this evening?
Well, since I just met these people on before we headed in this direction, I'm gonna
Yes,
kind of go watch the show because I'm curious about what it is that the
he actually
loudmouth
does.
Irishman actually does.
Yeah, I'm going
Sounds
to
good
watch
to
the
me.
show too.
Especially since it's purportedly magic. I don't scoff at magic. I don't say anything at all about magic, but
Hmm.
I want to see what he calls magic.
Indeed. So yeah, okay. What about Juan and Mr. Watt?
Yeah, Juan wants to see the show, but prior to that, I think what I want to do is go and check out the geologic, the mine. If I'm
Sundown
permitted, yeah, Sundown
Sorry,
Geologic.
Sundown Geologic Limited. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, if I'm
Certainly.
permitted in the mine and so forth, I'd like to just kind of check out the operation, as it were.
Certainly.
I mean, I can go with him because I might actually, if he just in case there's something weird in the mine that's a bit technical.
They probably won't let you near the mine, but obviously you can get to the office, which is the Geologic Limited, through the gate. But so the town's largest employer is Sundown Geologic, the operators of the Sundown mine. There are numerous independent operations in the Badlands around, but this is the largest mine in the area. Just reading it. The headquarters is a large. Actually, let's reshare the map just to remind you of the town. The headquarters is a large, long building at the end of the main street. It's surrounded by an 8-foot tall wrought iron fence. Inside the compound, obviously, from a bit of asking around, you found it's a bunkhouse and barracks for the miners. There's sheds with plenty of tools and equipment, and a company doctor's office is also up there, run by the Dr. Brian Riggs. So basically, as you head up to the gate, you notice that there seems to be a skinny. What? My watch has gone ballistic with everyone releasing stuff. Patreon's maps everywhere. She's as a woman. She's a skinny little thing who basically who's only isn't that great in stature, but apparently she stands up to nearly anyone and cussing them out and bringing them to the knees with bursts of dirty fighting is what you've gathered. Apparently she and Buck Norman have clashed on numerous times, and the general feeling is that Birdie Kirk, as everyone calls her, is only scared of one person in this whole town, and that's the marshal. That's the one who confronts you as the two of you walk down to as you reach the gates. She just looks at you as you walk towards the gates. What do you do?
Well, howdy there, pretty lady.
She does a really good Spock impression of raising one eyebrow as you mangle the American accent, which is really funny coming from you. I love the way you managed to mangle your own accent. Brilliant. Because obviously my Weird West is very weird because all the Americans sound English.
So,
But
so all the sheriffs are John Cleese from Silverado.
That's
I've never
really
seen that.
disturbing.
Yeah, Silverado, Great Western. John Cleese is the sheriff.
But is he doing the same thing as old Sean Connery as the Egyptian, i.e., no accent at all?
Yeah, but he is an English sheriff.
All right, fair enough. That's different then.
Yeah, Sean Connery, and we meet our old adversaries. Don't you mean, you know? Don't you mean adversaries?
I love that. It doesn't matter what he's in; he never bothers changing his accent. Although I do love all the. I'm not sure. I'm sure yeah, it's never going to be officially admitted. But if you actually if you start looking into all of the dates and times and everything, there's an awful lot of indications that he is playing James Bond
in The Rock.
Yeah, because all the timelines actually match up with when he stopped playing Bond and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. Anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, she nods and says, "How can I help you today, gentlemen?"
Well, we're just kind of interested in this here business opportunity and was interested in seeing how you operates and in maybe checking out investing in y'all.
Oh me. I'm afraid that the owner, Mr. Houston, is away at the moment. Meeting with his brother down in Heston Hill. But I can answer any of your questions. No questions? Well, in that case, allow me
So
to give
what are you mining? So what exactly are you mining?
Sundown Geologic Limited is the largest mine in the area. Its owner is its co-owner. Sorry, I forget. I must remember the update there. Its co-owners. The co-owners are John Heston and Silas Wanamaker. Silas Wanamaker became a partner quite recently, and we're not entirely sure what happened there, but that seems to be what's the situation. But anyway, John doesn't seem to talk much about it and keeps turning down Silas's invitations.
He's such a well-spoken American.
Shut up. As to what we mine, well, we mine, and she lists off a load of interesting minerals, because it doesn't tell me, but probably ghost rocks in there. That seems to be what it's all about these days, doesn't it? It's probably a ghost rock mine these days. Really doesn't tell me much more than that. But yeah. But yes, indeed. As I say, as to investment opportunities, if you'd like to mail I basically arrange an appointment via mail or telegram to telegraph, I should say. Telegraph, same thing, isn't it? Mail or telegram to John Houston. He will be able to. He'd be more than happy to set up a meeting with you at his earliest opportunity.
Well, all righty then. If you will give us that contact information, then we will be happy with trying to get a hold of him to take care of that.
Certainly. All you need to do is obviously, if you're writing, it would be basically John Heston, Sundown Geologic Limited, Sundown, Wyoming. And obviously, if you're going to send a telegraph, pretty much the same information will get it through to him. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you much, little lady. His quirk is to always talk in an exaggerated Western accent. So
Yeah, no, that's. I shall have to definitely give you another penny for that one. I remember reading that. That's why I was smiling at it. I love it. Oh, that's it. Could be what you doing, Mary Poppins. God, that makes me cringe every time.
Yeah, Mary Poppins, good day, mate.
Right. Well, unless there's any other interesting information, exploration going on, we can cut to the evening and the show. Although, the show begins with a number of feats of prestidigitation. Oh, he's put it in there. So, prestidigitation, okay, producing items from nowhere, taking pocket watch from somewhere else in the order. Do you want to read that one out? Oh, I thought you might want to perform it, but anyway. Okay.
Well, I certainly can. I certainly can do, but
Well, you know what I mean. Obviously, yes. Yeah. Just give us the highlights. While I read a couple of
first of all, you'll all see Sophia D in considerably less clothing than you've seen her in before.
Ooh.
Which time? I'm for range of movement.
Oh, misses.
And she introduces the amazing Adolfo, and the first section of the performance involves the amazing Adolfo, Prince of Prestidigitation. I show you mystic arts I have learned from all across the greatest magicians of Europe. See, and he starts producing like fake flowers and wanders through the people that are close to the stage, pulling coins from behind their ears and things like that. Then asks for a volunteer from the audience and gets them to give him a pocket watch, which Sophia then displays around the room, and it comes back and it gets smashed up in a handkerchief, and the bits of it poured out, which John Watt will be able to identify that there are far too many pieces to have come out of a pocket watch being poured out of this handkerchief. And but then the watch that's been smashed in front of this gentleman is produced whole from a previously locked box. Then there's sort of a juggling section with handkerchiefs being juggled, and Sophia keeps throwing more handkerchiefs in that Adolfo is juggling, and then they start to self-immolate, catching fire as he's juggling them and throwing them back towards Sophia. Then hypnotism, a mystic trance taught to Adolfo by a fakir from the Far East, is used.
Fakir from the Far East.
Fakir from the Far East is used.
Was he a big fakir?
He's a mystic fakir. He may have an Arab cadaver that you can say abracadabra over.
I have to give you a Benny for that old reference.
Having put Sophia into this mystic trance, he then forces her to contort into impossible positions under his hypnotic control. And then finally,
I'm going to take a swig of whiskey.
Finally, he puts himself into a trance and does some blindfolded knife throwing, which involves Sophia being strapped to a cartwheel that we get a volunteer from the audience to tie her to, and spin gently while Adolfo throws knives, which hit various paper targets that she's snatching off the ground each time the cartwheel drops to the ground. But then the finale is Sophia being hit in the gut with one of the knives, and then a miraculous healing, showing that she was actually uninjured at all. Bow to rapturous applause.
Well, there we go.
There's one arm clapping.
I hope it was clapping.
It wasn't any other.
Absolutely.
Abracadabra and an abracadabra. I'm trying to cadaver.
While all this is going on, Mercy's been sitting off to the side watching the crowd.
Well, indeed.
Juan
And
turns an interesting shade of orange whenever she comes out. I mean, he is yellow and he adds red to it. So
indeed. So, basically, you get a bit after as you come off the stage, and everyone's very, the audience is applauding, and everyone's very happy. One of the you notice that one of the ladies is talking quietly to Showboat, who catches your eye, Mr. Adolfo, as you come off the stage.
Well, as I come off the stage, I will take my top hat off and hand it to Sophia.
I'll take it.
And because it's, of course, Sophia's job to go around the audience taking tips at the end of a show.
And I will be my sexiest while doing that.
Okie dokie.
And then I shall go and talk to Showboat.
Oh, that was clearly great. I obviously tripped up going downstairs.
Well, a critical failure should be.
But then, with
actually
any
mean
luck, she fell right into the arms of some gorgeous, rich, cowpoke.
With a double one, maybe I'll pull his groin.
In which case, we're going to have to. So, unfortunately, I was going to obviously modify that based on your persuasion, but obviously with such a terrible roll, it's unfortunately you come up with a grand total of.
Sorry about that. I completely.
Did you know what
Never
I think?
mind.
I reckon you went round the whole room and you've got a reasonably large collection, and then you trip over.
Yeah,
and you're only able to scrabble back together 13 cents after everybody else scrambles to grab the money that's been thrown around the floor.
That's, I think, is very, very likely what happens, I'm afraid to say. In the meantime, it would appear that what's happened is while the show was going on, the marshal was seen leaving his office and heading down to Silas Manor, and Silas Wanamaker's Manor, you see, and obviously was down there for an hour or so while the shows were going on, and has come back. And what has also been reported is when he came back, he didn't go straight back to the marshal's office. He paid a visit to the Sunset Arms Hotel. Give me a sec.
Damn.
How do we know he did that? Who was watching him?
Presumably, it was one of Showboat's girls.
It was, yes.
As reported on that.
Yes. Because all of you went to see the show, so therefore none of you could make notice checks to see what was going on.
Very kind of you to let me know, and thank you for the opportunity to perform. Hopefully, it won't put an impact on your singing.
Well, obviously, she made sure she says, no, you replace it tonight. Obviously, it's very important that we have a variety of acts. Obviously, I'll knock them dead tomorrow night, and you can be on stage again after the showdown. That's okay. So
Adolfo will produce a flower from nowhere and hand it to her and say, "I'd appreciate it if you'd wear that when you sing."
she takes it and smiles demurely at you.
And then I will make my way back down, because I'm guessing she was like standing on a mezzanine balcony thing, because they always are in this sort of thing. So I'll make my way back downstairs, and at which point I would love for Sophia to fall over at my feet at that point, and I'll help her up and say, "Well, there go our profits. Now, I think we might have a problem, my dear. If you would just surreptitiously tell everybody else that the marshal's been up to visit Mr. Wanamaker and has since searched our hotel. It might behoove us well to, one at a time, go and check our rooms."
I nod.
But if he, but
Yeah.
there was no indication that he checked where Mercy was staying, just the Sunset Arms.
Hmm.
That's
Point. Good. That's a very good point. Thank you. He visited the Sunset Arms. Wasn't in there for too long. He also visited the hotel Mercy was staying at, and again, wasn't in there for very long. Probably not long enough to search the rooms, for the record.
well, it's more suspicious that he went to both, where
Mm.
we just happened to be staying
Yeah.
than the Sunset Arms, which is like the best place in town.
Maybe I
You
should have
probably-
shot him earlier.
Okay, I will wander around our group, having a little moment, talking to each and passing on that information surreptitiously.
Interesting noise. So, anyway, yes. So obviously, the rest of the evening is your own. Well, the whole it's your adventure. You can do what you want.
Well, if there's a card game going on, I will get involved in a card game.
Right. I knew I forgot to do something. Player's guide, Adventures Edition, characters, skills, gambling. Right, let's do it properly this time then. You know, I've forgotten you had gambling because I was beginning to worry there as I was checking all the characters. Thought, God, no one's got gambling. Okay, gambling is common to simulate an hour of gambling without having to roll for every single toss of the dice. Everyone agrees on stakes, such as $10, 10 gold coins. Everyone in the game makes a gambling roll. The lowest pays the highest. The difference stake. Righty ho. In that case, we'll go for a 25-cent stake. How's that sound?
That sounds reasonable.
Okie dokie. I might have some NPCs we can use.
The main reason I'm doing this is the Territorial Ranger lost his ghost gun in a game of cards at the mansion, and the note said "gambling is key" or something like that. So I'm thinking that getting known as somebody who plays cards won't be a bad idea.
Juan would like to join this gambling fest as well.
Okie dokie. Oh, no. I don't think any of them have got.
They can roll unskilled.
Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Juan's going to be rolling unskilled.
I might join in as well.
Okie dokie. Right. That makes my life easier, doesn't it? Does anyone have gambling? Yes. Okay. So I'll just put a couple of cowboys on. So I'm going to put a couple of cowboys on. Will's gambling. The Adolfo's gambling. Mr. Watt, are you joining the poker table?
Does the Alfredo want? Does he want an assist? Does he?
No. It's just, are you going to take part?
No, I'm saying, is he intending to play the game fairly?
Absolutely.
Well,
Because if he won't, we could arrange it otherwise.
I take that as you're not taking part. Sophia, are you of the gambling persuasion today?
No, it's not my thing. I think I'm going to be trying to take some care of my shoes to give them more grip
Indeed.
next.
Mercy's gonna leave the Gastons altogether. She's gonna first just walk up the street to the place she's staying, because once she knows that guy was there, she leaves her rifle in her room. She wants to make sure that wasn't messed with. She'll make a show of stopping by the livery to check on larceny. Just, routine evening out, keeping an eye on the street type stuff.
Okay. Right, so let's do some gambling notes. Let's share them out. So I don't know if that actually opens a window up or it just means you can see the gambling notes.
It does, yeah.
25. Okay, so stake this game is 25 cents. Okie dokie. So gambling is now gambling. Have everyone make a single toss. Everyone then takes a gambling roll. The lowest plays the highest. So that's just okay. So the cowboy just go #2 number 2.
Why'd you do that for,
3.
OBS?
I'm gonna have to work it out later on.
Mm-hmm.
2. And then it's Mr. William Money's next. Oh, an 8. Okay.
Beginner's
Next
luck.
is the amazing. I'm just going to put you down as AA.
And I will use my card sharp for the reroll.
Did he get 11? And the last but no means least is Mr. WH. Juan.
Well,
Take everyone off hold. That was just so I could keep track of who was gambling and who wasn't. That means you're going
I
to be
think I
paying
will
out.
drop a Benny on that just once.
Yes, just
Oh,
once.
doesn't
yes.
matter.
So
That
Okie
just-
doke.
so the lowest pays the highest, the difference multiplied by the stake, and then the next lowest pays the next highest, the difference multiplied by the stake, and the one in the middle breaks even.
So that would basically mean one owes you
$2.50.
This one got $2.50.
Oh yeah, one's got plenty of cash.
Okay.
Don't say that out loud.
Well, no, I'm not saying that out loud.
Then cowboy number 1 owes $1.50 to Will, and cowboy number 2 breaks even.
Okay, so Will, you get $1.50, and yeah, Juan, you need to deduct $2.50, and Mr. Amazing Adolfo, you need to add $2.50. Okay, Mercy, when you get back to your hotel after wandering around, everything seems nice and quiet. As you basically walk past the desk, someone says, "Got a message for you, man."
For me, are you quite certain?
Yes, you're staying in room, and she reels off your room number.
Okay, where's the message?
She hands you a sealed envelope made of it's rather good quality paper.
I look over on the check-in desk. I'm presuming she has a letter opener of some type out there in the open.
I'm sure she probably does, yes.
Well, if she doesn't, I'm going to pull my Bowie knife out of my boot and open this letter. So I'm just going to reach over and borrow her letter opener without asking and slit open the envelope and take
Funny
out
idea, I know
whatever's
what this is.
inside.
Okie dokie. You read the contents of the note.
And it says,
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? See if the rest of the party get paranoid enough or not.
Well,
I'll probably go to my room next. Because I want to get out of my stage costume. I don't really want to stay in it all night.
To be honest, the same thing. Basically, I've obviously tried to make an interesting pretense of suspicion, but it's all fairly pointless. It would turn out that whenever each of you
I
find
guess. Can I guess before you say it?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it's an invitation to dinner at the manor.
It is, indeed, this is the case. Each of you have been given an invitation, not for dinner, to come up and visit him at his house up on the hill, to clear the air over any misunderstandings. Obviously, because the marshal, he appointed the marshal, so therefore he feels in some way responsible for the actions of the marshal, and invites you to head up to see him to clear the air about any misunderstanding. Yeah, it doesn't actually give you a time on it. It just says.
The only reason I guessed that because the guy didn't really have enough time to search the rooms. He just basically went to the hotel and walked back out again.
Well, mind you, if it says at your earliest convenience, that's telling.
Does it? Or does it say at your convenience?
Well, which one does it say, Kev? Is it at your earliest convenience or just at your convenience?
At your convenience.
Right.
And I threw some money about at the hotel because I'm sure if they came in and they started turning over rooms, the staff would have told me.
About what time of the evening is it?
Well, I mean, it's very late now. Obviously, realistically speaking, you wouldn't do it till tomorrow morning at the earliest. But it's a very good point. You threw money around for it. No, you threw money around in the Sunset Arms, did you? Well, it's only, don't forget, the Sunset Arms, obviously, it's run by by Pierre. Where is he? Pierre Lafontaine. Well, actually, it's owned by Silas, but he runs it. He's the manager. He assures you that other than the staff, no one has been up to your room.
Well, I'll intend to get a good night's sleep and suggest that we go and visit Mr. Wanamaker after breakfast.
If anybody is of the suspicious persuasion and wishes to search their room, you can, of course, make notice checks. Oh, yeah, to make sure.
Well, Mercy would have done that. She specified that she was going.
I know she did. Yeah, you're absolutely fine. You're not staying at the Sunset Arms, so you're absolutely fine. Don't worry.
Then I don't need to worry about it. Okay.
You don't need to worry about it. You don't find anything. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mercy would always check her room just as a matter of habit.
Indeed. Yeah, as far as you can tell, everything is in its place and nothing is out of order in any of your rooms.
Well, that's jolly good then.
It is indeed. So, unless there's any further investigatory or troublemakery or type of stuff, we shall sort of fade out and fade back after breakfast.
I would like to go to Brothers Barbers and get a shave in the morning before I go up to the mansion.
That will cost you 2 bits.
It will indeed.
Shaving a haircut. 2 bits. Actually, what was I saying? Funny enough, actually, I was watching. I watched Groundhog Day today, and someone said 2 bits. I went, that's 25 cents. So there we go.
So yeah, one thing just before we flash forward, where we've done the show and all that. Obviously, we went up and we had a look at the mine and found out some basic details, and then we came back in the evening to watch the show and all that. I just buy a few drinks. If there's any miners in the bar, buy a few.
They're probably not in Gaston's. They'll probably. Oh, actually, it's the biggest employer. Yeah, they'd be in there.
Yeah, buy a few drinks for miners.
Yep.
See, I was very, very impressed by. I looked at the mine. It must be quite difficult working in there, and I think the miners are doing a fantastic job. But however, what I'm really looking forward to is I'm trying to cruise to. If anybody wants to talk about Len Buckles.
About what now?
Buckles.
Len Buckles. Len Buckles.
Because Len Buckles is an alias of George A.J. Regg.
I see.
Who's a missing agent.
Yeah, but that was around here, was it? But yes, it was. It's further south. I forgot about them buckets. You threw me because I haven't bothered rereading that since I read it.
Well, if you read the Player's Guide.
No, for the record, I'm sitting there going, I know that name's important. I just can't remember why. Well, actually,
yeah. So I'm just so I went up in the mine. I thought the miners were doing a fantastic job. I was quite impressed by it. And
for the record, I did say don't worry. I'm forgetting about the fact that it tells you in that you're members of the Twilight region. Other than that, the reason I said don't worry about reading it yet is because at the end of this adventure, this being your first successful mission, supposing you actually solve it. That would be when I give you the mission to find Len Buckles. But that's okay. Maybe you're very clever and you've got higher ups and they've already mentioned it in passing to you on the way out, so I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we've actually we're carrying one of us has got a photograph of him.
Indeed. Oh, well, there we are.
That's what his cover story was. His cover story was before he went missing. It was he was supposed to be a miner, and he changed his name to Len Buckles, and that's the only mine that we know of. So I thought,
yeah,
I knew some great miners back east. It was called the Buckles family. If Have you ever heard of them?
I'm going to spend the next couple week rereading the adventure just to get there. But no, it's yes, indeed, it's all good. But unfortunately, nothing comes of it. I'm afraid to say. For now, righty ho. Okay, so shaving a haircut in the morning. That's
And then
absolutely.
I'd like to see if the barber, in just general conversation while having a shave, is willing to tell me anything about Silas Wanamaker. I'll say that I've been invited.
A brothers
vi-
barbershop. A pair
Yeah.
of brothers run the barbershop. They claim the misspelling on the sign is intentional. Misspelling on the sign. Our brothers barbers. I don't know what they mean.
Burp, 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 burp.
But anyway, they claim the misspelling on the sign is intentional. The shop is owned by their third brother that lives back east, Marcus and Matthias. Oh, I can't even pronounce. Marcus and Matthias. I can't pronounce German names or Dutch names. Let me type it. I'm sure
You should
someone
live
can
where
help
I
us.
live. You're our whole life was Eichstätt.
There we are. Offer shaves, haircuts, and minor medical services to the folks of Sundown. Their constant bickering is something of a show. You've enjoyed that. As each day, every brother takes sides on a particular subject and argues that while they cut hair. Today it was basically whether or not railways were a good thing to be for the for America.
Well, if you were to ask my friend Mr. Watt, I'm sure he'd come down on the side of railways are a very good thing for his pocket. Whether or not they're good for America in general, I wouldn't like to say.
Well, indeed. If folks if folks agree with the argument, they're encouraged to tip the barber who best represents their view. The winner is declared and posted the next day based on who made more money on tips. Yesterday, Marcus won with the idea that the ability to defend oneself and carry a firearm should not be rescinded, as has been discussed back east that they shouldn't allow guns in the town. So yesterday it seems that the ability to carry a weapon for self-protection in town is preferable, even though it's deemed not necessarily needed in a quiet town like Sundown. Oh, your haircut's free. Your haircut's free as you are new in town.
Well, that's very kind of you. Is that something you do for all fellas that are new in town?
They do indeed. They offer free haircuts to all. Obviously, if they're chatting away, they ask you all about your show and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
and the people you're traveling with.
I will give them in return a free little couple of card tricks
Mm-hmm.
with some of the other folks in the barbers as well, and I will ask about the town in general and say I've heard that Mr. Wanamaker in the mansion up on the hill owns an awful lot of interests in the businesses. Does he have a share in this business, or is it solely owned by your brother?
It's solely owned. It's solely owned by their brother. Mr. Wanamaker has made no attempt to get involved in their business, possibly because their brother is back east and therefore has not been able to visit Mr. Wanamaker at this
I
time.
see. Not because he's a hirsute gentleman, then.
No, in fact, I don't believe he actually even
Has any suits?
attends this barber shop. I gather he has his own barber.
Hasn't got any suit at all.
Visits him, works at the manor with him.
Well, that's a mighty shame. You've done a fine job of removing the fuzz from my cheeks, so you have. Though, on the grounds of whether the railways are good for America or bad for America, well, I think it's he flips a coin in the air and then catches it and shows both the head and the tail. It's a tale of two halves. That I think both good and ill can come from the railways. Communication, the transportation. It can bring the east-west, which might not necessarily be a good thing, but it can certainly make things a lot easier for folks around. I'm afraid I'm going to have to give you a dime each. But thank you ever so much for your time and for the shave, gentlemen. I will tip my hat and leave.
They thank you on the way out, and you can hear them continuing their discussion with a couple of miners that were waiting in the queue to have their beards shaved for them.
Interesting conversation going on in there today, Mr. Watt. All about whether or not the railways are actually good for the United States.
Well, they're good for your pocket.
So you keep telling me. But are they good for, well, everybody?
Can't be bad. They've got steam engines.
Goddamn trains.
So,
Got something
So
against
I-
the steam engines then, Mr. Money.
Well, now I've heard there's free haircuts, I'm going to go and get a beard trim and get a shave.
okie dokie. Well, as we say, as a new visitor to the town, you obviously get a free shave and a haircut. They obviously very friendly, and in between having their debate about whether the railroads are good for America or bad for America. They ask you very much about yourself.
Yep, I don't
Are
tell
you-
them. I
are
just
you
tell them I'm
always-
from Missouri.
Yeah, they ask you, are you here for the showdown? Then are you traveling alone? And are you traveling alone or with friends?
I'm traveling in the same direction as some other people.
And they ask you about the other people, showing a
I don't
genuine
know. I only met them yesterday.
And obviously, at the end of it, they explain how whether you feel like if you are for or against the railroads, that you should tip accordingly.
Yep, you're mighty nosy. and then I
They're
leave.
just friendly.
Nosy.
Yeah. I mean, the railroad is coming. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion.
Goddamn.
Which railroad's coming through here?
Well, as soon as you say, but the whole mine, you know the history of the town, why the mine's there, don't you? So, basically what happens is down in his luck prospector found a lump of ghost rock sticking outside the hillside.
That's not
and
here.
it was,
That's not
it was
here. That's south of it.
yes, and that was
Your town's
massive.
bugged up. That's not
Yes,
here.
yes, but I'm saying the railroads are coming.
Oh yeah.
Once they find this ghost rock, the railroads are coming. Basically, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
basically
Yes.
is. In fact, they'll fight wars over to get to who puts the track down.
Well, logically, if you look at the map, with Wyoming territory being here, you've got two different. You've got two, haven't you? Potentials. You've obviously got the Iron Dragon to the north, and Minor Rails. That's an interesting one. That must just be. That's not an actual line. That's just obviously offshoots, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, it's probably Wasatch. It's either going to be the Iron Dragon Railroad or Wasatch Rail that will probably, if they do come into Wyoming.
That could also be one that Black River is trying to get their hands on, because that's what Black River does. They run an older gauge and they hook up with smaller railroads, take control without having to re-gauge all their tracks to more modern gauge.
Well, yeah. I mean, Black River stops at Denver, though, so that's an interesting one.
The Black River lines themselves do, but Black River doesn't stop.
Owns a lot more.
Yeah.
They own, they influence, and otherwise take weird kinds of control of all kinds, and they deliberately target the smaller lines.
Minor Rails goes all the way to Shan Fan, actually. That's interesting.
Well, funnily enough, this is actually my business. My business is speculative land trading. to either get a railroad moved, or to buy land for a railroad. So, for example, you get a field that you can't really grow anything in, right? It's not really, land's not worth anything. But if it's going to be a railroad running through it someday, you buy the land. And A, they have to buy it back off you at a highly inflated price to put the tracks down, or they want to build something on your land like a water tower, and you charge them rent on it.
That's what I said. Black River is interested in building railroads more than they have because they work with an older gauge track. They're more interested in taking control of it, small railroads or like you said, land that's gonna fall into the railroad's line of sight type stuff.
The funny thing is, when I do it, I'm not terribly greedy about it. The biggest lump sum, the biggest earning value on a deal is the person who originally owned the land and not me. I get a cut. But the person who owns the land basically gets rich, and I just take a percentage off it as an agent. But it means that all the landowners are all my best pal, theoretically.
This is interesting. The rail map has changed from Reloaded to this one because obviously, it's 5 years on. But that minor rail coming out from the city of Gloom, which is now being labelled Salt Lake City on this map, heading through Virginia City and going down to Shanfan. In Deadlands Reloaded was basically the Denver Pacific Railroad. Even though it was said it was a minor railroad, that was Denver Pacific. I don't know if they exist anymore because I know some of them didn't survive the rail wars, did they?
Yeah, Union Blue's gone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you lot talking about?
But anyway, I assume you're heading up to the manor.
Yeah, let's all go to the manor since
Sure
we've got an
enough.
invite.
It's up the hill. It's obviously south of town. You approach the well-built Victorian house on the hill overlooking the town and facing west. Though it's clearly a nice place, it looks a little run down and uncared for. Pardon me. Uncared for, especially in the places that people don't usually look. A balcony looms over a wide porch, and on that porch, sitting on a rocking chair, is a middle-aged man with slightly greying hair, a waxed moustache, a nice suit that looks something like a gambler might wear. It's slightly worn, but obviously was expensive when it was new. The man stands and bows. I have a picture of him. There you go. Welcome, strangers. Welcome, strangers. Please join me for a drink. The view up here is lovely, especially at sunset. See, it's not sunset, it's early morning, but anyway. The man sits back down and gestures towards a decanter of lemonade and a bottle of rye whiskey. Take your pick, friend, sweet or sour, as befits your mood.
Yep, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey.
I'll go with the lemonade.
As will one.
So when
Glass of whiskey.
with the lemonade.
Well, it's always happy hour somewhere, but it's a little early in the morning for me to be on the whiskey sours.
Oh, indeed. As he, as you all come up and take a drink, he's obviously finished partaking of his glass of lemonade, and he puts it down, and obviously absent-mindedly, probably without even thinking about it, he's obviously reached into one of his pockets and he starts just sort of shuffling a deck of cards as he talks and goes, please pass my apologies on to this Dr. Gow, I believe is his name. I do not control Marshal Norman, but I am the mayor here now. I was recently elected, so he's certainly my responsibility. I will endeavour to ensure this kind of thing does not happen again. He is a Southern gentleman. I'm just no way trying to do a Southern gentleman accent. It'd be so offensive. I'd never live in Shakedown. Please forgive our some simple rough
Playing with
use
cards.
ways. It takes a certain type of individual to deal with the many drifters and miscreants who inhabit these parts, and I'm afraid we've got no better replacements on hand than our reliable, if unrefined, Mr. Norman.
Yep. What are you playing with the cards for?
They calm me down.
Now, there's no need to talk to a fella like that, Mr. Money. Plenty of people carry around cards.
Yeah.
Look, you've
We're
got
not
one stuck.
gambling. We're here to talk, not play cards.
You've got one stuck behind your ear yourself. Look, see? How did that get in there? And I will produce a card from Mr. Money's ear. Stick it in the pocket of his gunslinger's vest, and pat it gently.
Indeed. He smiles and goes, yes. I gather your show was quite the spectacle. I must make sure to come down and see it at Gaston's the next time it's on.
Well, we'd certainly welcome your coming to see us.
Well, indeed. So, why do I shuffle this deck of cards? Well, I happen to find it relaxes me and helps me think. Gambling is a weakness of mine.
Oh, okay.
I know someone else like that.
You could
Well, that'd be
have
Mr. Adolfo's neck of the woods then. Yeah.
you could have stopped with gambling as a weakness and been 100% accurate when I sip my lemonade.
Oh, there are plenty of vices that a gentleman can, or a lady can get themselves involved in. Plenty of vices. All kinds of things you can do that maybe you shouldn't. But a friendly game of cards, well, as long as it remains friendly, there's nothing wrong with that now, is there?
Well, indeed. I mean, Sundown is a mining town. The locals hit it rich on occasion, but have an aversion to saving and investing, it seems. They prefer to drink or gamble it away. I admit to being this for the latter myself, and I've been fortunate here in Sundown. That led to work as a dealer at Gaston's, and when my employee, Mrs. Tawny McGee, was called away for family reasons, she very kindly gifted me the establishment until her return. My good fortune has continued, and now I help several of the businesses in town by investing in them when they hit a rough patch. In their appreciation, they've elected me mayor. It's a peaceful place, perhaps a little boring compared to some of the boom towns you may or may not have visited. Sure, but the miners get out from time to time, but boys will be boys and all that. But of course, that is what Mr. Norman.
'Tis a shame he's a little vociferous in his keeping of the peace. You got to make sure it's been going to be broken before you try and keep it, really, now, don't you?
Very much so. I've been told to let those beans flow, so there you go.
Ah, very good.
Indeed, so indeed. But as I say, I wanted to invite you up here to pass on my apologies to the way the marshal was treating you the other day, and that of
Oh, he didn't
Mr.
actually treat us at all. He
Gow.
treated.
Mr. Gow, I believe,
Yes.
yes. No. From what I understand, the marshal was a belligerent type and would have picked a fight if it wasn't for your silver tongue, sir, in diffusing the situation. For which I offer you my thanks, because, as I say, we don't want the marshal getting out of hand is not what this town needs.
It's not what any town needs, really. Now, let's be fair. There are all
In-
kinds of stories about marshals and sheriffs that take things a little bit too far, and well, try to lord it over a town, and that sort of thing. Well, you wouldn't want that kind of thing to happen at all, now, would you?
Well, indeed. This is the thing. But as I say, despite our best efforts, Sundown is still a bit of a rough and tumble town, and these miners, they come from all over. Seems half of them don't even speak any known tongue, so it's hard to make them feel at home when you can't communicate. It's always going to. So unfortunate as it is, a slightly firm hand is required in our martial, but there is a limit to how far things should be pushed.
So what's your game anyway then?
My game, sir?
Yes, your game. I mean, are you a pharaoh man? Is it poker? Canasta, Pinocchio? What is it you play?
Whatever I'll play. Whatever takes my fancy at the time. I don't mind at all.
Most people I've met at least have a game they prefer. You know, one that's their lucky game, if you know what I mean.
Indeed, no. I'll play any, and as I say, since I've come to this town, my luck seems to be very good, no matter what I try. But I see. Well, actually, I can't edit it, so I know from what you've just said there, the first bit. So I'm going to say, well, I do enjoy the game. So if you're so inclined, I'd consider it a great honour if you join me for a few hands later tonight. I've got some chores to do, but if you care to return at around 8 p.m., I'd have refreshments and a delicious spread for anyone who came down.
Well, tell me, are there any other players in the town? I mean, I often find it's very easy to find a game of Pharaoh or poker, but one thing I do like is to have a decent game of bridge.
Bridge. Well, indeed. Unfortunately, that's a little more refined than you'll find to get here. I mean, poker's probably the best we could probably cater for, but we'll see if we could get a 4 going. But I mean, how many will I need to provide if it's the two of us? Is anyone else interested in partaking?
No. I mean, have you heard about things like wagons being attacked? I mean, is that Indians?
Well, yes. I mean, the Indians do get riled up sometimes. Sometimes we intrude on their custom if we don't understand, and they go on the warpath. Sometimes they just like to see easy pickings in some poor wagon train and decide to take it. And of course, there are all kinds of strange critters hereabout. I'm sure you've seen some of those, right, friends? It's unfortunate that people do go missing, even in what we'd like to hope is a civilized part of the West.
I'm sometimes his partner, if you need me.
Oh, I would be honoured to have you join us tonight. So I'll just have to find a 4th. Is that unless anyone else wishes to make up the 4? In the meantime, he glances over at you.
Unfortunately, I showed my skill with cards earlier, and I apparently don't have any, so I think I will pass.
Yeah, I'll join the game for a laugh. No?
Okie dokie. So it sounds like we've got a 4 about 8 o'clock tonight. And meantime, at this point, he looks over at you, Mr. Money, obviously having shown me interest in the cards, and goes, points at your guns and goes, if you're handy with those 6 guns, you might consider joining in with our little competition tomorrow as well, the so-called showdown at sundown. Though make no mistakes, the festivities begin promptly at high noon and generous prizes are provided.
Yeah, I might take part.
Well,
would me entering with my axes be something that's possible, or is this strictly firearms?
It's strictly firearms. Yes.
Oh well. They just make too much noise for my preference.
Just thinking. Yeah, no, it is a. Yeah, I mean.
No, I expected it to be. So I'm playing my character though. So.
I know you're playing your character. I'm just thinking it would be interesting from a novelty perspective, but I think yes, it would be too alien, and I think they would all feel that the fact
Bruce Lee turned up, things would start getting confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the fact is obviously being obviously going with the prejudices of the time. Obviously, you being not Western origin, obviously, therefore would
David
not be
Carradine.
able to. Yeah, no, but you know what I'm trying to say. laying it on thick, but obviously being of Oriental persuasion, you obviously wouldn't be as good as an American with a 6-iron. But anyway, I understand completely. But obviously, there's always the side. There's obviously other festivities and side betting. So
Sure,
obviously,
sure.
well, indeed, as I say, I have a number of. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and ladies. I'm glad you took the time to visit me, but I'm afraid I must get on with my chores. But I'll be happy to see the three of you back for a game tonight at 8 o'clock. At this point, he rings a bell, and a couple of
So, I mean, so
guards arrive, and he says, "Welcome." Basically, please will you escort my welcome guests to the front gate?
just a question before we go. So, do you own the mansion then? I mean, it's quite expensive, isn't it?
Oh, indeed, yes. His good fortune allowed him to have this manor built. Yes. As he nods, he goes, "Yes, it's indeed. I purchased the mansion from its previous owner. I will record that."
So, who was that then?
I don't know. It doesn't tell.
So now you're kicking us out with an escort.
Well, to be honest, I forgot to mention you would have had an escort to the gate, so they came back with an escort off. As he heads back inside, humming quietly to himself. And as you head back to the front gate,
Back to town we go then. Or are we going to go up to the mine?
Does anyone wish to do anything as you head back to the front?
I'd just say he was falling over himself to
I'm going to look and see if there's anything weird looking around in this place, because you said it looks in disrepair, especially the bits you don't look at. So I'm going to have a look.
Well, indeed. Well, as you look around, you do notice there's as you're heading out through the gates and down the hill, he's watching you from the balcony, smoking a pipe, seeming for all the world that he has no worries or care.
Does it look like a western town from a western movie? Like it's just the front and the rest of it's just held up with props?
No.
The whole house is going to fall down if you hit one beam. And is he acted by Alan Ladd standing on a box?
No.
Anyway, I was going to say, don't you think that guy went out of his way to be nice?
Absolutely, he did.
And then he escorted us off the premises.
Yeah, it's like the old magician. No, nothing to see here. Yeah.
Oh, there's plenty to see there. Unfortunately, it was all behind the screen. You notice the mansion's up on a nice little bluff there. And there's a wall and a gate blocking it off from the rest of the town. But to be perfectly honest, there's so many holes in the security here. Anybody that was determined to get in certainly would be able to. I mean, you'd either have to get past the gate or climb up the cliff there, but neither one of those would be particularly difficult for anybody of a young and vigorous nature. You know, I'm not entirely sure I like the tone of that laugh, Miss T. I know I'm neither young nor vigorous anymore, but you didn't need to point it out to everybody.
So you've basically
Dr. Gal's got blue tablets for that, mate.
You've got the rest of the day to relax, network, talk to people, do some more investigation if you like, or we could go ahead. It's up to you what you want to do.
Well, I'm not going to invest a lot of time in this, but Mercy'd go get her horse and ride back out the way they came. We never did find the body of the driver for the stagecoach on the way in, did we?
No, so you're going to go see if you can find the driver.
Yeah, I would like to ask about for because all these people have gone missing. They must have left some. They must have left some trail. People must know them.
I'm quite interested to find out what the building with the astronomical symbol for Pluto on the door is.
Oh, you want to go to Pluto's?
Well, I can see that it's called Pluto's, and from your description of the symbol on the door, it is the astronomical symbol for Pluto. So
Yes.
I'm just
A dog
wondering
roll, that is.
what it's all about.
Well, I'm going to. If Mercy's going out of town looking for a body, I'll go with her.
Okay.
You
Well,
know, I'm
as you
going
get
looking to see, not necessarily for the body. I'm just going to look back and see if there's still enough tracks and evidence there to give us an idea how far they got, where they were ambushed, what might have happened to the driver, type stuff.
including overload, you consider turning. Oh, only flashed up for a second and then vanished again. Well,
Yeah.
actually, as today, as you head back down that way, I think you determine the answer to that quite quickly. Obviously, when you got into town before, maybe they'd been taken in or even shut up for the night, or you don't know. But today, there are caskets leaning leaning on the wall to the shop. Nice wooden pine boxes.
Ah. Is the coffin geezer a little old man? Beard.
No. Because as you get closer, yes, it appears to be an undertaker's. Quite a young Ethan O'Reilly owns the place. Are they gone? Is their Wi-Fi packed up and
What?
Who's?
No.
yeah, you just didn't say anything. I said there's coffins outside the shop, but you didn't respond.
Oh, right. Sorry, that's Pluto's, is it?
It is.
Right. Sorry, because I thought you were talking about the you were heading out of town and they were looking for
No,
bodies.
no. I said
Then you
yes.
started saying, well, funnily enough, there are coffins.
Yes, sorry. I apologise. Yes, there's two.
Right.
There's coffins leaning up against outside Pluto's.
Right. Well, Pluto being the one of the gods of
Roman god of the dead.
Roman god of
Yeah.
the dead.
Mm.
That kind of answers that question. But you said Ethan O'Reilly, yes?
Well, let's. I mean, obviously, let's let you have let's let you do some networking, shall we? So let's have a networking role from you.
All
Or in
right.
your case, performance, persuasion. I'll let you have performance as well because of who you are.
Well, I'm going to use persuasion and I'm going to re-roll it.
Okay.
And if he's called if the name above the door is O'Reilly, I'm certainly going to lean on the fact that I'm a first generation immigrant myself, and
Indeed.
see if I can find out anything about his family and where they're from. We're back on the Emerald Isle in the old country and all.
Well, indeed. In fact, you get quite a lot of information out of him because I'll give you a +2 bonus for that. So it turns out that O'Reilly was looking to get a job on the railroad when his wagon broke down outside of sundown. He ended up learning the art of undertaking, the intention of making enough money to leave, but soon started another lucrative business in the same location. O'Reilly started accepting items and valuables in lieu of payment for his services in hauling the dead out to Boot Hill. He now resells most of those items in a small corner of his store. On more than one occasion, as you while talking to him, he does seem to be grumbling about how he wound up losing a quarter of his business to Silas Wanamaker.
You lost it. Now that was mighty careless. How exactly did you manage that?
And he goes off and tells you a lot of. It's basically he goes off and tells you that basically when Silas first came to town, Silas was a run-of-the-mill drunk gambler before he struck it rich, but these days he's a real card sharp. A fella might win a few hands against him and might even feel good about it for a while, but rarely walks away a winner, even with a big hand. And as I say, his lucky streak at cards started when he had a lucky streak of cards, became a dealer at Tawny McGee's, and then bought into several businesses. Reading between the lines, do you understand the way he ends up owning businesses in this town is by winning and
I see, and he's invited me to play a game of bridge with him this evening.
I'm sure you'll end up playing poker. That's what Silas likes to play.
Is
But the
that
funny
so?
thing is, this is what I don't understand, right? Because when he first came here, right, he was working for Tony McGee.
No, when he first came here, he was a drunk.
Oh,
And then she was like, "Here's the keys. I'm off," and left him to it.
Yeah.
certainly sounds like he's gone up in the world. So, he got you to play a game of cards with him. He ended up with part of this business. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it basically what happened there was that obviously I kept winning, and he was getting more and more flustered as I kept winning rounds and rounds and winning much more money, and then obviously he decided that he needed to win it all back, and he offered an order quite. He put up quite so. He basically put down more money than I'd already won, and obviously when I realised I couldn't cover the bet and I had such a good hand, you know 3 kings, I was really happy with that, and he basically casually put up the idea that if I was that confident, then what's the harm in betting a quarter stake of the business?
Mhm.
As my good friend Kenneth once said, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. That, my friend, would have been the time to run.
So is that's how he played cards? Then he must deliberately lose money until he gets you in his sights, and it's bang.
He's making suckers bets.
Yeah, he's making suckers bets. Correct.
Sounds very. I do remember. Remember a fella by the name of Drax got himself in a very similar situation. He used to cheat at cards, but a fella took him down in a game of bridge, so he did. Got him onto an interesting winning streak, and then took him down. It was all in the papers, so it was. Back in my youth, that is. Back in the old country. Well,
By the way, his backstory
You
doesn't
mean
make
they had
sense.
papers in your youth?
His I have to say that book completely is very different to the oh my god, Star Wars just made a lot of money. Let's slightly change it.
yeah.
So anyway,
So much better.
anyway, I've got to say something because I get off my chest, right? So his backstory doesn't make any sense, right? So he came and he was working as a card dealer. This is Silas. Came working for a card dealer. They brought him in off the street because he was a drunk, right? They gave him a job, and he was working for Tony McGee, right? And then the next thing we know, Tony McGee, for some reason, disappears or goes and leaves town, and he ends up inheriting everything.
You
That
sound
is-
like you're a very suspicious fella, aren't you, Mr.
No,
Watson?
but don't you think that's a fantastic rise in promotion? Like
Well, I wouldn't want to speak ill of anybody in a town where they own a quarter of nearly every business in the town. Especially not where people could be hearing me talking about it, because that would just not be on now, would it?
You know, we have a word for guys like that. It's called a grifter.
Yeah, good word.
Yeah, pretending to be a drunk.
Well, as I say, so obviously feeling confident, and with
I wonder if people. I wonder if he's gambling with more than just money.
with three kings, I was feeling very, very happy, and then blow me down if it doesn't turn out he has the 4th king and a queen and a jack and a 10 and a 9 and an 8, and I've lost count of how many cards I need of
Well,
all the
He's
same suits.
I tried.
Five.
If he was looking for a straight flush there, having
So we playing
Well-
cards tonight, then, are we?
having 6 cards in his hand for 5 in poker, I think he was possibly cheating you.
I lost count of how many cards he needed. He basically won with a straight flush.
Well, isn't that a thing? I noticed he has a custom deck of cards when when he invited us up to say hello.
Oh
Is that-
yes, he's always shuffling that when he's not playing. Obviously, He doesn't use that deck to play cards.
He doesn't, right?
That's good.
Well, how very interesting indeed.
Hate to think he's using a marked deck or anything.
That would be
Yeah, so
somebody shouldn't be doing.
I don't
Well,
know.
then why don't we pick up a brand new deck from the general store before we go up, and we can break the seal at the table.
Indeed.
That's not a bad idea at all, Miss D. I
There
mean,
may be some.
I do have several unopened decks, but you know, I'm a stage magician. I would be very surprised if the fella wouldn't suggest that I might have tampered with them and resealed them somehow.
Exactly. So let's get them from the store.
Well, do be careful though, because insisting on a fresh deck, you might as well just call the man a cheater to his face. And
Oh, I wouldn't
Depends
insist.
on the
I wouldn't insist upon a fresh deck at all.
and money,
Not unless he was suggesting to raise the stakes very high indeed.
and money, you just be standing by with them 6 guns of yours.
Yep.
Yeah, his standard. He does. The other thing he does tell you is his standard stake is $5.
Well,
Silas's.
that's when playing poker. We're going up to play bridge. If he wants a game of poker, I'm going to point out that I'm playing for points, not for money. Especially if his standard bet is $5. I don't have that kind of cash.
Well, to be honest, a game of bridge at a centre point can soon mount up, don't you think?
Absolutely, that's exactly why I'm saying that I'm playing for points, not for pennies.
Mm.
Don't forget, obviously, Showboat does want updates on everything.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, we should provide.
And also,
mean-
you probably.
My
you
only
probably-
question is, what is he, while we're all sitting here talking, since we've all, left him behind, is why does he want to play us? I mean, this is a man who seems to play for some sort of advantage. What advantage does he think he's going to get with some folks just drifting through?
Information. We've turned up in town. We've reported on the death of a territorial ranger and the folks that gunned him down. And then we've hung around a bit. Now, I would suggest that since the marshal is in his pocket, that he had something to do with the death of the ranger, particularly as the ranger lost his gun to him. Gambling is the key, and so on and so forth. So he wants to know whether or not we're actually of any kind of threat to him. So I would suggest we try to make sure that we don't appear to be. We do
He
need
wants
to
to
let.
know what we know.
I would say that's a fairly astute observation there, sir. Now, we do need to let the young lady of the Twilight Legion here know exactly what we know, which is, perfectly honest, very little. But the fact that we're going up to have a game of bridge with him, that sounds. I think we should stick to bridge and not play poker. What do you reckon, folks?
Definitely.
Well, I don't play either. I was just going to hang out on his veranda and have a smoke, but
Well,
see, something a little.
he did say we'd all be welcome, but only if we were playing cards. So you might find that he'll use you being a fifth person there as an excuse to not play a game that needs 2 pairs.
Well, yes. Oh, yeah, handball.
Oh, so those of us who aren't playing aren't invited?
No, he invited all of you.
Did he?
He did
Okay.
invite
He
all.
did,
all
yes.
He did invite all of you.
All right.
Let's go.
Right. Well, obviously, you obviously if you're not going to see Showboat or
Oh no,
anything else.
I said I
I'm
was
not
going to
saying. No, yeah, no. But I'm just saying. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, unless there's anything else you got planned, unless you want to have a bath before the game, assuming you're going to attend, unless there's any, I'm just saying, what if there's anything else you want to do before we just or you could just not attend the card game at all, and then we'll just go.
One thing about if you get a chance to see Showboat is so take it there is a agent from Twilight Region that went missing.
Who's there?
not here in Heaston Hill.
I used to
Yes.
know.
This hasn't happened yet, as I keep saying. It hasn't happened yet. So
Oh well,
it has-
well, you told me to read the player's guide, and you're saying we should have said read the player's guide later.
I did say read it later. I changed my mind when I decided to run this one
It's
first.
not later yet. You read it too soon.
It's those precognitive flashes you keep having.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We'll just rewind that bit. Flash me a soft this, and therefore stay
Spends
stuff off.
too much time
Very
playing
good.
around with that ghost rocks.
Very good. Basically, yes. Basically, when I said read it, I meant, yes, I did say that, but I meant to give the idea of the back, because it gives some background of what your characters are and what you're doing, i.e. what your members of the Twilight Legion, what the Twilight Legion is. But at the same time, I probably forgot to mention or didn't make it clear enough that any of the hooks for the campaign don't come into play yet, because this is what we're doing now is set before those hooks happen.
So we're in the past.
Yes.
When Will Money was young.
Maybe this is a flashback. Maybe maybe this is all a flashback in the middle of the next adventure. Who knows? Maybe, and that's the problem. And Mr. Watts spent too much time. Mr. Watts spent too much time around fancy stuff that he can't tell the difference between flashbacks and current day. Who knows? I'm only mucking about. So no one's gone missing yet, other than no one's gone missing. Just the Ranger's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will say is having a chat with Showboat, and obviously giving out all the information gives there. She does provide you with her own particular views on Silas. You do note she does when she talks about Silas, she does make sure she talks very quietly whenever talking about him. Everyone else, she although she's already not shouting loudly because of the nature of it, but whenever she talks about Silas, it's definitely quieter than any other conversation. And the pertinent facts that she comes out with about him is that he's probably using whatever hoodoo he's messing with to cheat. Oh, and a few of the folks who seem determined to catch him or otherwise meddling in his affairs left town mighty quick, as in no one saw them leave quick. These folks aren't heard from again, so it's hard to prove anything. And anyone who gets a little curious winds up in a conversation with Marshal Norman. So if you're going up there, be careful.
I'm feeling a bit strange. When I visited the mine, I think I've accidentally breathed in some ghost rock, and it's not my first time. And I believe I'm having premonitions of future events and getting a bit mixed up.
That
Sure, you're
explains
not been on the
everything.
peyote?
Maybe my dead friend that I killed all those years ago is coming back to haunt me, and he's sending visions of my fate.
Are you? Is all of that just to play a card?
No, but it seemed appropriate.
Right, I'm going to go to your character sheet. If there's anything in your background about a dead friend, I'm going to get on your background notes. I'm going to get very surprised.
There wasn't in the back, but I isn't on the back character sheet. But I did talk about it. You have to watch last week's episode.
Well, you better put it in your background notes. Play after content. Draw an adventure card immediately. Increase the number you may draw by play forever by 1. Okie dokie. Mr. John Watt has played an adventure card, therefore I need to give him... Oh yeah, I forgot. I give him a new adventure card. And then we go over to hindrances, which is under character. And we go and find the bad luck hindrance. You've gained the bad luck hindrance with
the dark bargain edge, which doesn't exist. You have to make it.
Yeah, but no.
Action card plus 1.
No,
not
adventure,
actually. Adventure card plus 1.
In square brackets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it adventure card without a space?
With a space, I think.
Adventure card plus 1. Let's see if that works next time. Or what I could do is go and find Destiny's Child Edge, because that'll give me exactly what it is. Yeah, adventure card. I got it right. Adventure card plus 1. Yeah. Bad luck made you with the adventure card plus 1 effect. Okay, right. True to his word, Silas and a few loyal deputies he conscripted to serve at the game have set up quite a spread. There's meats, fruits, cheeses, and all manner of drinks, even some ice.
Ooh. Oh,
And
this.
Wanamaker, yeah, sorry. Wanamaker invites everyone to make up a plate in the foyer, then heads into his study for cards. Doesn't mind if people want to watch, as long as at least one person wants to join him in the game. Because obviously, if there's just the two, we will play poker. But obviously, if there's more than four, he's more than happy to play poker as well.
Well, I was very much looking forward to playing a hand, play a rubber or two of bridge.
Well, indeed, goes. But yes, but bridge is such a tame game, and obviously, we obviously,
Oh.
we are out in the West, and obviously, real men really just should be playing poker, should we not?
I only learned bridge. I never learned poker.
You know, Miss D, I think that what Mr. Wanamaker is saying here is that he only feels comfortable playing poker and doesn't think that his luck would run to playing a game of bridge. He's, in all honesty, I think he's scared of losing.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Thingies, well, indeed, but as I say, why not? Why not just get the ball rolling with a couple of rounds of bridge, and then obviously after that we can always, if anyone's interested, play a few hands of poker.
Well, we can see how the evening progresses then, perhaps.
Indeed,
Nice spread you got here. This is a real nice cheese.
indeed, it is all good, very good quality food, and even the ice, as I say, is rather pleasant.
Yeah, it's clear, no bits in it.
So, yes. So after a few rubbers of bridge, where everything just seems to play out rather normally, it does. I'm not going to. It doesn't seem to really. It's a very close run game, but he does. He does hit him, and who's he playing with? Who was his second?
His partner's what?
What? Him and Watt actually do end up winning the game of bridge, mostly down to Watt rather than Mr. Wanamaker himself there. But obviously, he goes, well, indeed. You see, as I say, poker's my real game. So how about it? How about a couple of games?
Well, during the playing bridge, I want to keep an eye on the way that he handles the cards and so on, and see if there appears to be anything going on with his
Make a gambling roll.
his playing. And I will use my reroll on that just in case.
You don't when it's coming to playing that, you don't notice anything untoward. He's adept at shuffling and dealing the cards, but as you would expect from someone who got a job as a professional dealer at a saloon.
Yeah.
Silas goes, look, tell you what, in the spirit of good play, let's play a couple of rounds of poker, $5 stakes, but if I win, you won't owe me a penny or anything else. Can't say fairer than that. But if I lose, then you walk away with my money, and we've had a good night. How's that sound?
Well, I'll leave you boys to it and go and raid some more of that lovely buffet table, if that's all right. As I said, poker's not my game.
It sounds an incredibly generous offer, but one I'm going to have to decline. I'll make you a counter offer, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'll more than happily play a couple of hands of poker with you. But I'm not going to be putting myself in a situation where I can win money off a fella that can't win money off me. Nor do I have the kind of money to put up that kind of stake. So why don't we just play a couple of friendly games? The stake doesn't matter either way.
He says, but surely the whole point of playing gambling is for the chance to win money, is it not?
Well, if that were the case, then from your point of view, a game where if I win, you pay me, but if you win, I don't have to pay you, is completely pointless now, isn't it? So I wouldn't
Oh,
want I wouldn't want to put you through that, since the only point in gambling is to create game.
well, yes, but you see, the point I am making is that if you win, then you will have some of my money, and then I can play you to try and win it back, and therefore the thrill of the game is still there, is it not?
Only if I win in the first hand. And should I win the first hand in that kind of circumstance, well, I'd have to think that maybe you might have even chosen to throw the game to give me the money that you could win back. And that would kind of spoil it for me now, wouldn't it?
Well, I see you're a man of principle, so we shall play. Let's see. Let's have a friendly game for points. How's that sound? All of your friends are welcome to join us.
Now, see, that sounds perfectly amicable to me.
I mean, I suppose we could play for money.
I will just raise an eyebrow at Watt at that. But if Watt is
It
wanting to
does
play,
make-
if Watt's wanting to play for a $5 ante, Patrick being at least
Will you
moderately
Are you going to
sensible.
stake? Are you going to stake Patrick, Mr. Watt?
Yes. I mean, we'll just play a single round of cards to see how we feel about it, right? And then what we can do is we can up the ante.
At this point, Mercy gets bored and wanders out to the veranda to have a smoke.
Okie dokie. If you're paying the stake for at the moment you say that, you sort of say that you're prepared to stake the amazing Adolfo. Silas does seem to perk up. He goes, I was getting worried that the night wouldn't be as much fun as it could have been. Gentlemen, let's play cards. And so, is this just going to be one-on-one, Silas versus Patrick, or is anyone else taking part?
So I'm trying to figure out how much it costs doing $5. It's quite expensive, isn't it?
It's very expensive, because the winner pays the winner. Oh, sorry, the loser pays the winner the difference between their gambling rolls multiplied by the stake.
So what's that then?
Well, a $5 stake usually ends up costing between $30 and $100, depending upon how well they roll.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if I run out of money, you can always go at the bank and get more. So.
Okay, so who's playing? So we obviously.
I'll play.
Silas, have you got money to stake yourself?
I've got $5.
I can only stake one person in case they lose 100. But this is only the first.
Will's got $5. You've got $5, Will, have you?
I've got $46 in total.
Okie dokie.
I can
Here's the plan.
If I end up owing money, then
Well, here's the plan. What I was going to say was, I tell Silas that we just start off as a nice kind of friendly game. We'll do an ante of 5, and then seeing how everybody feels at the end of it. If everybody's feeling nice and positive about it, then maybe what we'll do is we'll up the ante.
Okie dokie. Well, okay, so Silas is up first. He gets a 4. Will, let's have your gambling roll. You get a 3. Patrick, you're up.
Okay, one moment. And I'll take my
7.
I'll take my reroll. Yeah, I've still got a 7.
So you win $15, don't you, Patrick?
Yeah.
And Will owes Silas $5.
No. What happens is Will owes me $20 and Silas breaks even.
Oh yes, Silas breaks even. Yes, sorry, I got it wrong. Yeah. So Will, you owe Patrick $20.
Or rather, you owe John Watt $20 because it's not my money.
Indeed.
Well,
Can
I've just
you
deducted
make...
it so someone stick it wherever they need to put it.
do you wish to make a gambling roll? Because you said you were watching him.
Yeah. And I'll take my re-roll on it.
Do you know what? I feel that, you know, since I'm paying you into this game, I should give you some advice on how to play cards.
So basically, when you're assessing how Silas is playing, he plays well enough for an amateur, but he's pushing his luck when the odds are bad and doesn't bet enough when the odds are good. Other than that, the cards seem perfectly normal. He doesn't seem to be cheating in any way.
Okay.
You just won $15, didn't you?
20.
20.
But the 20 goes to what? Because it was $20
Because
from.
that was an interesting game, gentlemen. Can I interest you in another round?
I'm happy enough to keep playing, but like I said, I don't have the kind of money to put up myself.
Well, obviously, we can keep to the same $5 stake again.
Well, that's a question for Mr. Watt, not for me. Well, and Mr. Money here.
It might be prudent for Will to back out, I think, after winning losing half his money. But mind you, that said, there is a $1,000 prize if you win the showdown. I think I'll have to check that.
$2,000 prize, I think. $2,000 prize and 3 pennies for a month. Yeah, I'll stake in again.
Silas goes, $1,000 cash.
But the thing is, he doesn't need me to stake in because he's won how much? 20?
Yeah.
So he can pay me back 5. He can pay me back 5. So I've got.
And he's still got $15.
And he's got $15, so he can stake himself, and he's still got $10 in his pocket.
The only problem is if he loses.
If I lose, yeah. So
aye, but I can cover his loss.
You'll cover his loss, will you? Okay.
If you'll cover the loss, that's fine.
Okay. Can I have notice checks, please? Yeah, that's fine. No problem at all there. Sophia. Notice.
Pour it away. It's going to give you diarrhea for a month.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Hon, you basically.
I am trying to learn this poker thing, so it would make sense that I'm paying a little more attention.
That's absolutely fine. You got the raise. So what you see is Silas is very, very amiable and very happy, but there seems to be a point, and that's the point where the great Adolfo or Patrick, you're not sure which. He seems to use both names. Very confusing. Silas seems to be very amiable and friendly and everything, but there comes a moment when this last hand is dealt, and Patrick won that $20 at the end of that whole session of gambling. You notice the sort of there's a slight slip in the smile on Silas's face, and you get the distinct impression that he's not in any way being malicious or anything like that, but all of a sudden you get the impression that he was trying to be amiable and friendly, but all of a sudden that glint and need to win is just suddenly caught in his eye. You get the impression that he might not be so friendly this time round when it comes to playing the game. As in, you know, I'm not trying to say it in a malicious way. You just get the impression that he wasn't necessarily playing his best, but there's a slight look of determination in his face after.
Well, this is the exact point I was waiting for. So, because I'm not feeling very well. I think I need to go home. Sorry, I can't give you any more. I can't cover his bet, so he's gonna have to. I'm afraid you're gonna have to kick him out of the game. Sorry, it's not his fault, by the way. He's not leaving the table of his own accord. He's leaving the table to help me, his sick friend, who would have paid his bill, who can no longer
that
pay his
depends if
bill.
one. Yeah, that you didn't notice it. That's if Mr. Wan does. mentions it.
No, but it was just
And all
easier
I'm
than it was easier than saying that and typing it all in as a whispering chat.
I know. Well, Silas Goldsmith, that's the way it's got to be. Well, then I thank you for an interesting night, gentlemen. And he looks over at you, Mr. Money, and says, "Good luck in the showdown tomorrow morning. Sorry, at noon tomorrow." Yeah, the only point is he was playing that game. He had a -2 penalty on his gambling rolls. Once you win $20, he can't help himself but stop playing.
See, based on his past performance of the story we get told at Pluto's, I think that he deliberately loses the first set of. It's a safe bet because he's going to lose the first round of cards to lull you into a false sense of security, and then he's going to ask, and then he ups the ante, and then he nails you.
Well,
you know what I mean?
it's nothing as malicious as that. This was literally meant to be a nice, friendly game. He wouldn't cheat or anything like that. It's just the fact that if
he doesn't like losing.
He can't help himself. It was just down to the rolls. It could have been 3 rounds. It could have been 4 rounds. I mean, at $5, I think it's going to happen quite quick. The second he's lost more than $20, he can't help himself. He starts playing.
Hang on, he didn't lose any money at all. He broke
Point
even.
taken. He broke even. I forgot. No, but you know what I mean there.
Yeah.
He didn't like to see me lose money, so he got upset. That's what it is.
Or rather, he didn't. Or he didn't like to see
he's heard about my reputation in the future.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
He can't help. He can't help himself. He's too competitive. His competitiveness gets the better of him, and obviously he will.
Yes, it's not that he lost money. It's that $20 that you won should have been mine.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's not malicious or anything like that. It's literally he can't help himself type thing. But anyway, so
yeah, I was just I just wanted to I can sort everybody else out with cash, but I wanted to push him to see how because he's got to actually sit there and play in front of a card expert, and I wanted people to see how he actually plays.
Indeed. So what I'm going to say is the night passes uneventfully, and in the morning, Patrick, you're awoken in the sort of reasonable, not early hours, but you're woken by someone knocking on the door. Appears to be one of the gals from Gaston's who asks if you and your friends could meet Showboat over at Gaston's at your earliest convenience.
Something the matter, young Missy?
I as soon as possible, she said.
Well, if you let me at least, get my long johns on, he says, peering round the edge of the door.
Indeed. So
I'll tell her which rooms the other folks are in, and say perhaps you should go and make a gentle knock on their doors as well. And by the time you've done so, I'll be dressed.
Indeed.
I'm combing my hair. I was.
Basically, to paraphrase the situation, it would appear that where is it? It would appear that in the early hours of this morning, one of the miners who lives out of town was coming into town and passed by Dr. Gal's wagon, and there was no sign of Dr. Gal and definite signs of a struggle. Showboat asks if you wouldn't mind heading out and investigating the scene.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to his marvelous engine.
Well, from what we've just been told, the engine's still there, but he's not. Is that right?
That's the only information she's got, which is why she's asking you, people she can, one, she feels she can trust, and two, can sort of legitimately sort of would be less noticeable heading out of town early in the morning, especially as Mercy's been out trying to find the body of the stagecoach driver yesterday, wasn't she? So you heading out of town
And
now?
Mercy they would have already picked up on that she has a routine that she gets up in the morning, she has breakfast, and then she takes Larceny out for a run. Or
Exactly.
does need exercise.
Indeed. In that case, you may have actually, I would say you weren't actually contactable, and you may already, well, actually say you've already noted, you're already on site when the rest of the posse turns up. True sheer coincidence, because
there's something I'd like to do before we leave town, if it's possible.
Yes, certainly. What's that?
I would like to, if the door to the marshal's office is unlocked, which, considering he's a drunkard, I'm guessing it might well be. I just want to have a quick look in there to see, well, if there might be any restorative elixirs hanging around with Dr. Gao's label on, because he was quite obviously not wanting them. But if, as I suspect, the marshal has had something to do with this, then finding evidence to speak to that in the marshal's office might forewarn us of what we could face when we get out there.
Oh, by the way, just as typical, you know how they tell you something one place and then somewhere completely different, it actually tells you what it does. You can actually get rid of that link I showed you earlier that removes fatigue if you want. I mean, I'll give you the option. You can either have a potion that you can either keep that potion that removes fatigue. Some of you may want that because obviously it's a nice, easy way to get rid of critical failures. Or if you want to replace it with one of Dr. Gao's miracle cure-alls, you can. That does, as someone correctly guessed earlier on, Mercy, that is, Vancouver, it is in fact a potion of healing and heals one wound.
Ah.
You can
So
you
I'll
can
let
share
you
a
have
potion of
a
healing with us, eh?
So where's that?
There
You
isn't
have
an
to
item
make-
for that.
You have to make one.
You'll just have to make one. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to keep the remove 2 points of fatigue potion, by all means do so. And I'll be even nice to say you can drink half of it to get rid of 1 point of fatigue, which means you has 2 uses. So
Well, I'm having both because I bought one anyway.
Well, exactly. I know you said that already. So if you want a healing potion, have a healing potion. If you'd rather keep your ability to negate the fact you critically fail when you fail your rolls that cause fatigue, you might want the other one. But anyway. So, in fact, yes, when you go to the marshal's office, it's empty.
As in, literally, there's nothing in it at all.
As in, there's no one in it, and nothing but the description you had before, which was poor state of upkeep and lots of bottles around the place, but none of them appear to be elixir.
In which case, I'll just have a quick look around for, see if perhaps there might be a spare set of keys in the place or anything like that that could accidentally fall into my pocket.
The keys to the cells are probably up on the hook on the wall there, but they're sort of fairly big, chunky, and noticeable if they're not there. But that's about it.
Okie dokie.
You know the big traditional large set of keys that you can always pick up by using a broom handle. You know, that type of keys.
I know the ones. Is there any soap in the building?
Probably not. No. He goes elsewhere for his
They make a
baths.
gun out of soap.
Is there a block of soap in the building? He said, spending a penny to change the. And it's one that the guy, because the guy's a slob. It's probably been there forever, and he's never noticed it, and he'd never use it. But I'd like to take it and take an impression.
Take an impression. I'm going to say. Oh, go on then. I was going to say, to be honest, you could have your Benny back, go to the general store, buy a soap, and come back.
Yeah, but that's no fun.
Then obviously, yeah, but then basically it's Buck Norman. There wouldn't be any soap in here. That's the problem. But okay, maybe there is. Maybe he confiscated some in the past.
Yeah.
Thinking it was money or booze, and when he realised it was just soaps, he just left them in the corner.
Yeah. So I've got an impression of the cell keys that we might take. I might take the blacksmiths later if I decide I might need it.
You do know that the deputies do come in and out of the marshal's office at random points during the day. So yeah, you get in and out as quick as you can because you don't
Yeah.
really want to be snooping around the marshal's office when the marshal isn't there.
Yeah.
In the okay. Once you get out to Dr. Gal's previous location, what do you want to do?
Take a look around.
Well, yes, I know, but in anything in particular, because it says let the searcher describe what they're looking for and reveal the information below to them as they do.
Well, is the infernal engine here?
A panel on the right side of the steam wagon is open and propped up like a roof.
So that'll be yes.
Beneath it is a heavy carpet, a cot, a desk, a serving table, and a pile of books. The bed is overturned, and the pillow and quilt lie askew.
Any signs of blood?
No.
Well, Mercy'd be on horseback, just check in the immediate vicinity for tracks, signs of riders.
Survival roll, please.
What kind of roll?
Survival. Tracking is survival these days.
No, I don't have survival, so
maybe that's one to get on your next upgrade. I'm afraid you don't notice any tracks.
Well, I'm a bit of a tin horn myself and don't know much about tracking, so I'm going to have a look through this desk and see if I can spot the obvious absence of anything, like see if anything might have been taken from it.
No.
And while he's doing that, Juan's going to go through the books.
Okay. Pile of books you're reading. General texts on anatomy, medicine, a copy of Tombstone Epitaph, and a Smith and Robards catalogue. The surviving wares, most of the ingredients he uses to make various healing concoctions, are still locked in their case. So obviously you'll have to examine that case very carefully, Mr. Adolfo.
Well, I can certainly take a look at it, but well, first of all, I'll look through the desk to see if there is a key.
Doesn't tell me there is. Probably it's on him.
Well, I'll have a look through, and
it does appear to be on. I was wrong. It wasn't locked at all, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
No,
let's have a look in here.
Basically, the wares are still intact. There's one bottle is labelled Dr. Gal's Miracle Cure-All inside the case as well, which is an additional potion of healing, for want of a better word.
An additional potion of healing, or a potion of additional healing?
And a second Dr. Miracle Cure-All potion.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll pocket that one.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone have survival?
No, but Juan thinks he's good at everything, so.
Yes, I do. Actually. Yes, I do, because... so anyway, tracks, footprints.
Okay.
Because I think...
Okay, so there's numerous boot prints. It's impossible to tell whose, but there were clearly at least 3 to 4 different individuals here. No sign of additionally, all kinds of animal tracks. There's coyote, wolves, a bear track or two. Oddly, what looks to be a piece of carapace from some kind of massive beetle the size about of dog, but that's about it.
Seems like you got fairly busy out here. Is that a carapace from a prairie tick?
Do they get that big? I think they do, don't
and
they?
Bigger, yeah.
And bigger. Yeah, it's probably a prairie tick, yeah. I'd have to give you a penny for that one. Can I have notice checks is basically the best you get for investigation these days, isn't it?
Notice or research, or
well, yeah, because this wouldn't be research.
On what it is,
yeah, because this wouldn't be research. So, As far as you can tell, based on the way the bed's overturned and the pillow quilt lie askew, you reckon that
Well, hang on. Based on what you've just said, let's have a closer look.
you reckon he was probably based on what it looks like, he was taken from his bed while he was sleeping, which means you think Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, Rigger. How are you? Sorry, I don't know where you typed that. I'm not paying attention today. Yeah, it looks like it was taken probably in the early hours of this morning, you suspect, while he was. And as I say, at least 3 or 4 different booted feet appear to have been around this camp.
Well, somebody certainly didn't want Dr. Gow being around, did they?
I mean, wasn't he going to get? I mean, weren't the deputies attacking them in town?
That they
And
were, but
then you smoothed it all over, and now there's 4 people. Well, I think there's 4 people that got in the boots.
can we see
If you look
which
at
direction?
tracks,
Can we see which direction they went in?
No. I'm going to go as far as to say the tracks seem to vanish, or someone covered themselves up.
They vanished.
Now, that's really interesting.
Vanished or somebody covered it up. Well,
That is a really, is a very, very, very.
One is that on Guts Quick Draw.
Refer back to the original text.
Quick plus 1. 4.
Scene of the crime.
4. 4.
Yes, I do. I am missing Showbo's plans because I was like, "What the hell?" What my page ends with? She has a plan if everyone's willing, but oh my word. Okay,
is it a cunning plan?
okay. So
Hopefully
at
not.
this point, apparently at this point, Showboat turns up. Hence the fact I got very confused because obviously my paragraph is obviously stuck somewhere else in the middle of some other text because of the way it formatted when I paused it. I'll have to find it. This is a proper module one day.
Which is interesting
Showboat,
considering we were told that she wouldn't show up because it would draw too much attention.
yeah.
yeah, that was me making a mistake, not her, not the adventure. That was me. Sorry. Okay, maybe she summons. Basically, you get a message to come back. One of the girls comes out. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to say, but anyway, she has a plan. If you're willing, I'm just going to say that, and then we'll leave it for the day. You'll see. Because she's convinced that Silas Wanamaker's behind it and Norman too, but she can't work out how you can prove it.
I bet the plan involves us being bait.
Well, actually, I have to be honest. Actually, okay. The showdown at sundown competition is set for this very day. Desperate or talented gunslingers from around the region come to prove who's fastest. The duelists usually survive thanks to a steel plate they're allowed to wear over their chests. It doesn't always work, of course. Sometimes an unlucky sodbuster loses a finger, and occasionally a sidewinder shoots his foe in the face, accidentally or otherwise. But 8 out of 10 participants walk away with little more than a bruise and somewhat ringing in their ears. Anyone can enter the showdown, and once the festivities start, challengers draw cards to see they're up against. Okay, the winner gets $1,000 dinner, and a free drinks at Gaston's for the night. Showboat says Silas hosts the affair and always stays there all night, drinking, playing cards, and generally celebrating the day's events. She'll make sure he stays entertaining or distracting him, or you sneak up to his house and look for Gal and any other evidence that proves that what Wanamaker is up to and why his rivals keep disappearing. Which is interesting because that looks exactly like your plan, Patrick.
Pretty much, yes. Not that I'd passed that on yet, but that was my plan.
Yeah, sorry, I know you hadn't passed it on, but the Showboat's taking the credit, you see.
That's fine. I don't need anybody else to take.
She's got a
I don't
better
need to
name
take
than you
credit.
anyway, Showboat.
Also, if she takes credit for the plan, if it goes wrong, she takes the fall as well.
Indeed. So, I think the real question is, as we shall leave it today, will be who wishes to take part at the showdown at sundown at high noon.
Well, I'm taking part in that. Yeah. Got to shoot someone.
Mercy will probably.
I haven't
Mercy
killed
will
anyone. I've only
probably.
killed 2 people last week.
Mercy will take part as well.
Yeah, just
And
for a
since
little bit.
nobody expects the Chinaman to be involved, he's probably going to go and sneak up to the house.
She's
What?
not a gunslinger, but you know.
Yeah. The point is, as Showboat was saying, is you don't sneak up to the house during the showdown. You sneak up to the house after the showdown when everyone's
partying and getting drunk. Yeah.
in
Oh,
partying in Gaston's.
now here's the thing. Obviously, we're going to break into the house next week, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
Right. Well, seeing as we're still in seeing as we're still in this section, on the night of the event, everybody's going to get an invitation to a private dinner party at a ranch outside of town.
Ah, that'll explain why we're not there.
And that'll explain why we're not there. And there'll be eyewitnesses to prove that we were there the whole night and we're quite drunk.
Okay. You'll have to work very fast to set that one up.
Yeah, because it's a connections edge. And I will put his name forward when the railroad comes through for a land deal. Okay, mate?
Okay, that
See how
sounds
that
like
works?
a plan. I like it. That sounds like a good plan. So
if anybody asks why we're missing, then all these witnesses, well, yeah, they were all there. They were there all night. They all get drunk.
okay, so on Tuesday, the 3rd of January 2023, at high noon, game time.
Yeah.
The showdown at sundown will begin with Will and Money and Mercy Vancouver risking life and limb and possibly fingers. The real question you've got to decide between now and then is, do you want to wear the metal plate? The reason I do believe is the metal plate gives you 4 points of armor.
It does.
But of course, yeah. So that if you got one giving you time to think about it. So the metal plate weighs 15 pounds, hangs from your neck via a leather cord. It's bulky and awkward, so it subtracts 2 from agility rolls, including shooting, but does give you 4 points of armor. No other vests or visible protection are allowed, just to keep things fair. So that's what you've got to decide: is do you wish to go into? It is literally a standoff. Because I'm quite glad I get to leave it till next week, because that means I can remind myself how duels work. Because it is technically a duel.
Oh, right. So but basically we're going to kill everyone. So it's a proper murder duel, right?
No. Well, no. It's yes and no. Obviously.
But if you roll a 1 on your skill die, yes.
Yes. Yeah. The point being is, if you aim for the chest of the opponent, and the opponent is wearing the metal plate, you're probably fine, and they'll probably be fine.
But you've got you've got Grim Servant of Death, so you're going to hit the little bit of leather holding the plate, and it's going to drop down and sever their toes or something.
Now, what's really interesting, actually, there is if you look at the cover, which I've just put up, the Metal Mage is using coins, so maybe you can use your tomahawk. I'm going to say if you want to use tomahawks, you can. You can enter one if you want to with tomahawks. Or whatever it was you would talk about, throwing stars, whatever.
Well, yeah, my tomahawks. I don't see anybody using coins, though.
On the image I just shared. No, it's a gun.
No,
it's a gun. I hadn't zoomed in. Yes, and I didn't notice it because of the scale. I mean, just the right scale, so it looked like 3 coins. I think they'll let
in a fountain.
In a fountain. No, because you tell you what it was. I could see the holster.
Flintstones. Meet the
I could
Flintstones.
see the holster. I could see that bit and that bit. If you zoom out, if you zoom out enough, it looks like 3 circles just floating up below his hand. And I'm completely. But I'll let you enter if you want to. One is what I'm trying to say.
No. I'm good. I'm good.
Okie doke. Well, we shall leave it there and come back next time for the showdown of Sunday. Oh.
Hoochie bollocks. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one.
certainly did.
It's an interesting one. This one, it's a slow burner. I can't remember where it says it. Where is it? It did make me smile. Oh, where was it? Yeah, let the party. Yeah, this was at the poker game. Let the party play for a bit, engage in banter with silence. Perhaps they'll start wondering exactly where all the usual horror and bloodsheds are. Don't worry, Marshall, they're coming.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be plenty of that to come.
Thanks for watching,
Indeed.
Thrift.
But anyway, I hope you enjoy. Yeah, it's quite nice to play some Deadlands for a change. Although I have to be honest, because in the Steam sale, the Pathfinder Wrath of Vengeance game, with basically all the DLC, apart from the fact they're about to release a load more, was on sale. So I just bought that and I've been playing it. And I'm like, I know we've just finished playing Pathfinder and I wanted to play Deadlands because we just finished playing Pathfinder, but I must admit, playing this has got me in the mood to play Pathfinder again already. That would change.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
No, don't worry. We're playing Deadlands until I've converted thingy. Or we'll see how it goes. We might run out of Deadlands. My plan is we'll play Deadlands until I finish Crimson Throne, and then we'll off to Crimson Throne.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was me. That me referencing future events was a cock up.
Yeah, I know. It was very funny.
But I thought, well, seeing this as a cock up, we might as well introduce it to the story as a dark hindrance.
No, I don't have a problem with that, Alpha. I completely got that's what was going on.
I'm going to stop streaming now. Thank you very much. I'll see you later.
I liked it.